I was out hunting today, come up on this old lake way back in the woods, and I saw an eagle all the way across it. See the lake. And I said, Lord, I sure would like to get close to that eagle because sometimes I feel like you don't always hear me. But if you hear me today, let me get close. I had a bald eagle land on my shoulder out here hunting. I don't think you can get no closer than that right there at all.
Don't ever say that God don't hear you. Don't ever say it. I'm telling you now. Because it's when you say that he's not hearing you that he shows you that he is. I was getting frustrated. I had a long weekend, no internet. It was driving me crazy. I was going batshit crazy, folks. You have no idea how batshit crazy I was going because I did not want to be by myself. And when I do my shows, I says it's the only time I'm not lonely. I mean, I got a lot of dogs. We got 28 German Shepherds here. I get that. I get that. But it's not the same as having a human being here that that you're communicating with and you're chatting with and everything else. So I had a very piss poor weekend. I'm just being honest with you. So I missed you guys. I hope as much as you missed me. It's yeah. So got a bunch of things lined up for this morning. We're going to be doing some. We're going to be doing some SGT report. We're going to do some Nicholas Benyamin. We're going to do some And We Know. We're going to do other things as they're coming out today. I think that's kind of a cool thing to go. I also want to cover a Melissa Red Pill from yesterday that I thought was rather interesting. So I want to make sure that I get that into the lineup as well. She'll probably do another one today, but it was, this one here, I thought was pretty dang good. And that's actually what we're going to start off with this morning. I hope everybody is doing good. Hi to everybody who's just joined us. Let me go through the list here real quick and see if I can catch everybody. Michael, good morning. Wild West, good to see you. I don't have, let me see, put my glasses on. I might be able to see some of these comments as well at the same time. Barb Richardson, always great to see you. Spinster, hello. A lot of new names in the chat. So, sorry if I don't spark off and seeing you. Just understand you're new. So I have no clue who you are. So Clay B, always good to see you. Young man, Garrett, great to see you. Gary Schindel, great to have you with us. Irene Cranfield, great to see you. Mike MQ, good to see you. Tammy C, Melvita, always good to see you in the chat there. Melvita, always great to see you in the chat. Stacy, hello. Tennessee Ridge Runner, my brother Ben, I hope you're doing well. Tammy says, can you sing for us sometime? Well, we might do something today. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Deadpool's Spines. That's that's kind of a Snipes. I don't know why I got all dyslexic with that name. Maybe it was the Deadpool, and my brain was chuckling, because I've seen all the Deadpool movies. So it's you got to admit Ryan does a good job in that. He does, but he's an idiot nonetheless. But Paul Scott, great to see you. Jeremy, my brother, I hope you're doing well. And them women ain't driving you crazy yet. I know the dog's fine. It's the women that I worry about in your household. You know what I'm saying? Southern Belle, good to see you. Karen Scott, welcome. Annette Graff. Let's see. Sherry P, hello. AKA Heather Joy, AKA, I like that. Ellen the Alien, hello, Ellen. Let's see here. Lisa Anderson, always good to see you. Let's see, TJ Katz, great to have you with us. Cindy Fuller Stevens, great to have you with us as well. Let's see here. I think everybody is pretty much a repeat. Buffering. Hey, Buff, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Good to have you in the chat. Rock Steady. Great to have you with us. Mama Doobie. Is it Doobie or Dobie? Give me an O if it's Dobie. Give me a ooh. If it's Doobie, give me a double O. So that way there I know if I'm saying it right. Because I really hate messing up anybody's name. And I do that quite often. Camel Carl, my brother. I hope you're doing well. Mary Shea, great to see you. Annalisa, great to see you. Cheryl Rich, great to see you. Truck Woman, South Carolina. Gotta love them women truckers. You gotta love them. You know, they deliver it. They doing it the hardcore style. That's right. New song. Always great to have you with us. Chris C. Kathleen Christensen. Let's see. Okay, I'm down at the bottom of that list so far. So, okay. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get this thing fired off. Like I said, we got a bunch of stuff lined up for you. So that's where we're going to start off with Melissa Redpill. Let me get the present win here before she gets going all fired up, because you know she gets going like crazy. Just remember that if there are songs being played, I will be cutting back the audio during that period of time, just so that we're not getting any copyrights or anything like that, because you know we want to stay with you as long as we can. New channels being built today. Got that track phone, so we're getting ready to do that. So we will have the backup channel created. Maybe it's gonna have to be after today's show, because I don't want to be messing around with YouTube while I'm trying to get another channel set up. So, but we will. I'll have that for you for tomorrow's podcast. And like I said, I missed everybody this weekend. You have no idea. I was going crazy. I did pop in on Friday when Dave was, I offered the whole weekend to Dave. I told him, I said, you got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You use as much time as you want to, and everything, you know, because it's the idea of bringing the truthers back to YouTube as often as we can. And for those of you that are just joining us, just so you know what we do here, Chessboard, hello. And Michael, and I saw a couple other, Jody Terry, great to see you with us. Mike 1176, hello. And yeah, so for those of you that are joining us that are trying to figure out exactly what the heck it is we do, it was there was a purge that was done in 2019 and 2020, okay, just before the election, of a lot of the truthers. And we know X22, SGT Report, Melissa Redpill, many, many, many podcasters. Okay. And my objective is to bring those podcasters back to YouTube, back to Facebook, where they belong, so that people are seeing and hearing the truth. These people are great researchers. They do, great information. And basically from watching them, you'll notice that a lot of things begin to correlate between the podcasters and everything. So and each of them show their own research information and everything. So you're getting it from a couple of different avenues, sparking you to be able to research more on your own. And the idea of it is to bring that truth back here onto the battlefield, because this is our battlefield. Okay. This is where we have worked together for the last, going on 6 years, going on 7 years now, that we have worked together in order to provide as much truth to the public as we possibly can, and try and teach people about what we researched, what we've learned, and the things that need to change in this world. And the only way that we can do that is by working together and sharing the information. And that's what we do here. So we bring all these podcasters back onto YouTube. Most of them probably don't even know that I do this. Okay. Even though I've been using their material for years. Okay. Because this is not about me. This is about getting their information to you, so that you can make a conscious decision as to what to take with you and what to leave behind. Okay. And also to share avenues in which to further your research, to prepare yourself for when the time comes that when people come to you to say, hey, what the hell is going on? you have avenues in which to point them. You have you have all kinds of information available to you to be able to share with them and to explain to them. And then you have podcasters in which you can turn them on to as well. And that is the goal, is to share the truth. No, I wasn't in YouTube jail. My internet went out Friday morning. I was actually sitting down. I was in the process of setting up a podcast. And then all of a sudden my net went out. I didn't even get the podcast set up. And it took them until this morning to finally get it fixed. I have CenturyLink. So their call centers are in the Philippines, in India, and in Honduras. They're no longer an American-run company. So it can take it can take weeks to get repairs out here now. So we just try to do what we can and try to keep going. I do have a Starlink set up, but it's just unaffordable at this time. Once I get back to that point again, then we'll, that's when we'll, we won't worry so much, so generators filled up. I filled up the oil and the gas this morning, so we are good to go. And we are ready to do 8 to 12 hours of bringing you nothing but good, straight, solid content. It's let's do this together. Here we go.
These traces of prophecy, run, boy, run, break out from society. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So with American pride swelling in our hearts and American courage stirring in our souls, I say these words to you tonight. We will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
Yes, we will. Hey there, Patriots. I hope you're having a great day. Isn't that awesome? We have this amazing destiny. We are the Omer. We are the America. This is our destiny. They hid it from us, but we are fulfilling that destiny just the same. And this is what's going to happen. I'm going to read to you some wonderful passages from Zephaniah that you maybe have never heard, and it will really encourage you. I want to play some wonderful clips from our wonderful President Trump. He was at a rally yesterday, I think 2 rallies, and then he went to Jupiter, Florida at the end of the day. I mean, the man does not stop. Amazing. What a day we're living in. I hope you guys are having a great day. If you're new here, I am Melissa, Red Pill the World. I am on the Freedom Force Battalion. My website is freedomforce.live. We look at how this is biblical. This is literally the great day we've been waiting for all our lives. We knew it was going to be tough. We just didn't know it exactly like this, right? And it's thankfully not as the nuclear holocaust that they seated in our thoughts, but it's very daunting just the same. So and I'm so glad we're here together. I'm so glad you guys are with me on the Freedom Force Battalion and help me to share all this information and get it out there, and we're working together and making it happen. So, and I love our wonderful President Trump. So the first thing I want to show you, and also got so many tidbits. I try to scour the internet for some of the most important things, because I know, with everyone working full time and you don't have time necessarily to research it. So I try to bring you the highlights of the week. So here we go. Here is a wonderful pastors. We're praying for our president. I want you to hear this.
Will not prevail against him. We speak this over him, Lord. I pray for protection over him. I pray for protection over his family. And Lord, that all the weapons formed against him will not prosper.
Yes.
Lord, they will come to nothing. And the traps that will be laid against him. Lord, the people that laid the traps, they will be caught in their own traps.
Yes.
So, Father, we thank you now, Lord, for great favor. And I pray, Lord, that We will, President Trump will trust in you, yes, not on his understanding, but acknowledge you in all his ways, Lord. And I trust you that you will direct his paths. And Lord, yes, there is a great victory, not only for this nation, but for the world, because of the calling and the that you place on this ministry. So Lord, we say this in agreement right now, and Lord, we thank you that it should be done by our Father in heaven.
Amen. 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 So I really love that. I love that the pastors got together. I would love for each one of them to read my book. If you know who these people are, send them my book, because if they're Trump supporters, they need to know the wonderful truth. We just did our video yesterday on chapter 5 of the book, End Times and 1,000 Years of Peace. The one that we were talking about, the 70 weeks prophecy that they've used to scare humanity to pieces. Anyway, so I'm going to be posting that probably tomorrow morning. I have a little few tweaks to do on it. But yeah, so I would love for them to know the wonderful truth of end times for the bad guys and 1,000 years of peace for us. So we'll just keep trying to share this information. Thank you so much for helping to get all this liking and sharing. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this video everywhere you go. I really appreciate it because this is the thing that keeps us encouraged. I know you guys know that. All right, so here was some of what President Trump said yesterday. Let's get started. He says, we got this. I love it.
That with one hoax, witch hunt, and abuse of power after another. Remember Russia, Russia, Russia. Remember all of that nonsense all turned out to be fake. Then they rigged and stole the election of 2020. They rigged it and they stole it. And since crooked Joe Biden got in, he's been weaponizing government against his political opponents like a third world communist tyrant. Really no different. You take a look at what's happening. And we're talking about to a lot of people, not just Donald Trump, a lot of people. But we got him. We got this thing. We got this thing.
What does that mean? Military operation? We got this. We got this. He never at all makes you think he's concerned at all about not winning. He's confident we're going to win. And actually this morning, Dan Scavino posted Vincito again, which is I will win. That's the famous song, Pavarotti singing the last line, and it's amazing. Really, waiting for dawn to break. That's what the song says. And that's what we're waiting on, is that dawn to finally break and for there to be a breakthrough and for us to finally win. I just feel so, I know how you guys feel. I know you're like, this has got to stop soon, especially with what's going on in Gaza, which is horrifying. And President Trump said unthinkable. And what he was talking about, he's got to thread that needle so carefully, you guys, because he cannot put us at risk. But I can say it. What's going on with the IDF killing the children is horrible. I think the number right now of the civilian deaths is 22,000. That's awful, unthinkable what's going on over there. So, yeah, let's just continue with what President Trump now, though. I kept the entire world safe, and we will again as the 47th president. He kept the people of Gaza safe. He kept everything, they knew they had to start this mayhem before he got back into office. Check this out.
But we're going to bring it back. I withdrew from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. That was one of the biggest things I did for Israel, but nothing happened with it because they didn't, when they withdrew. You're supposed to make a deal. They were broke. They withdrew. You were supposed to make a deal. And with the historic Abraham Accords, I even made peace in the Middle East. We're going to have peace in the Middle East. So for 4 straight years, I kept America safe. I kept Israel safe. I kept Ukraine safe. None of this stuff would have happened. And I kept the entire world safe.
He's not just talking about the Israelis, because there are good Israelis. It's just our only beef is with the people at the top, the people in the cabal, right? But he kept everyone who lived there safe. Yes, the issue has not been resolved, and them living in an open air concentration camp is not the resolution, clearly. And so he, kept them though from starting this type of mayhem over there using Hamas, which anyway, I will get to that here in just a little bit. He prevented that. And so we're going to solve it once and for all, where everyone will be free. And if anybody has a problem with that, then they need to go to Gitmo, because if we can't have freedom for all, then there's not freedom for any. We know that. All right. So then President Trump talks about what they're called. It's called laundering. Check it out.
His wife paid you $3.5 million. And Chris Wallace, how's he doing, by the way? Chris Wallace was the moderator. You shouldn't be allowed to ask that question. I said, well, it's true. The mayor of Moscow's wife paid this family $3.5 million. Why did they get it? What did they do that was worth $3.5 million? They weren't able to explain it. Now it's turned out to be a big case. I was right. Chris Wallace, it was like fighting two people. Of course, it was really like fighting one person. That was the beauty. But now it's turned out to be a very big, really big subject. He got $3.5 million from Moscow, and nobody knows why, and they can't justify it. What did you do for the 3.5? At least say you did something. There's nothing. They didn't do anything. You know what they did. It's called laundering. Just as I promised, I also fought for.
That's what it's called, laundering. Yep. And President Trump he knows all of this, and he has for years, and he's been putting it out there. And and we're not stopping talking about all of their crimes against humanity, their crimes against our country. It's called treason, called laundering. So yeah, we're not going to stop until these people, they're scared to pieces. They're like, when President Trump goes back in, if he gets elected, he'll be a dictator, whatever. What they know is that he's going to bring down judgment. He's going to bring down retribution. And they can't allow that. And the honest truth is, and I'm going to read to you, McGregor said he didn't think that we would get to the election for 2024, which makes sense, because there would have to be, it seems to me, have to be a military operation before that, because these people will never allow the election to be done where he would win, right? You know how bad they cheated last time. They would cheat even more this time, because what do they have to lose? These people know they're going down. All right. He said about cleaning up the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol, in D.C.
Horribly run. Have you seen it? It's filthy, dirty, with graffiti all over the most beautiful marble columns, magnificent columns built 200 years ago, 100 years ago. They're loaded with graffiti at levels you've never seen. The roads are disgusting. They're like driving over garbage. And we're going to clean it up, renovate it, and rebuild our Capitol so that it's no longer a nightmare of murder and crime. Last week, 3 people were killed. Every week, people are killed. Every night, people are hurt badly. They go to Washington. They're proud of their country. They come out, they're frightened. They go outside. They can't go outside. You can't. If you go outside, you're making a big mistake. This is our Capitol. It's never been like that. You know, when I left, it was different. It was much different. But years ago, it was really amazing. Now what they're doing, you know, I wouldn't allow anybody to put their tent up on our lawns, our beautiful parks. Now the parks are loaded up with tents, and they're loaded up with homeless. We have to help the homeless, but we can't destroy our Capitol. We're going to rebuild our Capitol.
Yep. That is, it's a horrible thing that's going on in DC. Absolutely horrible. And when he's talking about cleaning it up, obviously he's not just talking about cleaning it up with the tent cities and all the graffiti. He's talking about cleaning up the swamp, and that's what they know, and that's why they are flipping out. Now, this one was right before President Trump started the closer, where he starts talking about America is in decline, and it looked like he could barely get through it. Yeah, it's what is happening around the world is horrible, not just in America, but all the devastation that they've caused is horrible. And takes your breath away. takes it where you can't even speak. And I know, I keep talking about what's going on in Gaza, and I appreciate you guys supporting me in that, because it's unthinkable what's going on, and what's been going on in America, all over the world. It's just, yeah, it's we're at that point. This is Armageddon. Clearly, if anyone says, well, we haven't had 7 years of tribulation, they have not been paying attention. They must live under a rock somewhere, that people suffering countless horrible tribulation. So yeah, this was after the speech, after the rally, and then he goes to another party. I mean, everywhere he goes, people are just coming out in droves, and I mean, everyone has their camera out. I mean, have you ever seen such a thing? Have you ever seen anything like this? Sorry.
President Donald J. Trump.
I'm sorry I kept being in the way. I was trying to get out of the way so you could see President Trump. But bottom line, you've seen it over and over and over. People come out of the woodwork because of the love. I mean, you can feel, it's just something, isn't it something, you guys? That you can feel the love and the hope. So just hang on tight, everybody. We're going to get there. There's no doubt. Whenever you see all of this, you have to know that we're going to win. Vin Shadow, right? We're going to win. All right. So then President Trump said, can you imagine Biden lying in bed at night, tossing and turning, thinking about how he's going to screw China for $28 billion for the farmers sweating at night? Oh, no, I don't think he's doing that. No, he's a sound sleeper. Give him his milk and put him to bed. Check it out.
Please, sir, my people, please. I said, listen, we're going to win Iowa. Well, how do you know, sir? Because I got him $28 billion for the farmers. I'll be flippant. I mean, maybe you'll have an upset. Who the hell else? Biden doesn't even know what a farmer is. Biden. Can you imagine Biden laying in bed at night, tossing and turning, thinking about how he's going to screw China for $28 billion for the farmers? I don't think he's going to be doing that, right? Sweating at night. No, he's a sound sleep. They gave him his milk and they put him to bed. He doesn't give it yet. So anyways.
I love it so much. Oh my gosh, he's on the Comedy Hour. He's so funny. He does everything in the world and he's not screwing the Chinese people, he's screwing the cabal, and that's what they know. That's why they hate him. So they're trying everything, all the lawfare and everything else, to stop President Trump. Okay, so did you hear that the BLM leaders are coming out saying, we want to talk to President Trump, we want to support President Trump, we want to talk to the Republican Party about leaving the Democrat plantation in Jesus' name? How amazing is that?
Did you see where a very respected representative of Black Lives Matter, New England territory, right? New England, endorsed Trump? He said, he didn't necessarily say the Republican Party.
Right, because I don't trust the Republican Party either. We're all standing in agreement on that. But he's supporting Trump. And this is the thing. When you think BLM, think of the people who were out just protesting the lawless government, the lawless justice system. Don't think about the ones who hijacked it. The same thing applies to January 6th. Don't think about all the people breaking down the windows, because that was the feds who did that. That was not the MAGA people. Think about people who are fighting against the corrupt elections. We're doing the same thing. But both of our movements, we're both fighting the corruption, but both of the movements are hijacked by the feds and by the Antifa and by the cabal, basically. So that's what I think is finally dawning. It has to dawn on us. We have to understand that if you see posts on other channels or wherever you go, you see posts about BLM support, say, we support BLM fighting corruption and injustice. We're all fighting that same battle. Please stop dividing us. Please, and let's make sure that we bring unity everywhere we can. That our common enemy is this lawless cabal at the top. Lord Jesus, please help us to get there. Everyone to see through the baloney, and to see who clearly we are fighting against in Jesus' name. All right. So that was, did I play the rest of it? Okay. I'm going to play you more about what he says about BLM.
Party said Trump, because what we've done in terms of opportunity zones and jobs for everybody, frankly, but jobs historically, if you look at the colleges, black colleges and universities, I got them 10-year funding. They never had that. They'd have to come to Washington every year. We took care of their funding and a lot of other things, criminal justice reform at a very, very high level, very fair. We got to be fair, but very, very something that everybody really, and we had tremendous conservative support, but criminal justice reform. And he came out in favor of Donald Trump. And he said, I'm going to do something that's going to surprise some people, but this guy has done more for the black population than any president. And I think he included Abraham Lincoln, but I'm not 100% sure, but it's a great honor.
Yes, that's amazing. Please, Jesus, wake up all the people, just every color. I just saw an ad I posted on the social media. If you're not on the social media, go over here to freedomforce.live. You'll make sure to find out all the social media right here and join with us on all these so you get the good stuff, the good news. And so these are the video channels. But yeah, so he was, I'm going to forget what I was going to say. But anyway, over here, we just posted Latinos for Trump. Latinos for Trump. They were having a song about that. And so, the Latinos, we've got, I don't know how many millions of Latinos in our country. We've got to have them vote for Trump too. So let's all get everybody on the same bandwagon for Trump. All right. So then this is the Trump success.
The best jobs. We had the greatest economy in history. And think of all the things that we were doing. I defeated ISIS. Everybody said you can't defeat ISIS. I defeated ISIS in 4 weeks.
When he says ISIS, he's also meaning Hamas, because any of these groups that he's going to fight, he's going to destroy all these groups that have been created by the cabal to be their boogeyman, to be their bad guy, and to take the fall. Actually, not the fall. Take the to blame, but then they get away scot-free, and the innocent are the ones who actually take the blame. But anyway, it's very complicated. Okay, let me see if I can get
That's why we had the best jobs. We had the greatest economy in history. And think of all the things that we were doing. I defeated ISIS. Everybody said you can't defeat ISIS. I defeated ISIS in 4 weeks.
Amazing. I don't know why it's only playing 11 seconds. Come on.
That's why we had the best.
It's only playing 11 seconds. Sorry about that. I don't know why it's not playing the rest of it. All right. So if you love Trump, I had posted some Christmas ornaments of President Trump's mugshot. And so some people were saying, I really would like to have one where he's actually smiling, because the mugshot really makes us mad. So I created them for you guys. Over here on freedomforce.live under the gear, you will see President Trump. There's one where he's pointing at you saying, I love you. There's one where he's giving you the thumbs up, and one where he's winking at you. So I hope you like those. And actually, I put him on mouse pads too. So he can be sitting beside you every day, winking at you or pointing at you, or telling you how proud he is of you, or putting the thumbs up. I hope you guys like that. So yeah, but I still like the mugshot. I still like the mugshot. The mugshot is on. Did y'all see I posted that? It's on our tree. Go over there and put your picture of President Trump on your Christmas tree. All right. So I thought you guys would like that. Now let's start up talking about what are some of the tidbits that I found, some of the highlights of this week. And so one is how Tucker dropped this gigantic bomb about Pompeo, and that Pompeo tried to have Julian Assange assassinated. Check this out.
London.
I wanted to ask you
Wouldn't
about
put
that.
people in prison
No.
except for a very good reason. And they
Talk about the truth.
Listen very carefully to this part here. Okay. This was something that I noticed. So even though my internet was out, I was still trying to catch as many videos as I could this weekend. Just because I try to absorb as much information as I possibly can. I'll smoke a joint or smoke a bowl, and then I'll absorb some more. Now, so I want to retract a statement that was made by other people in regards to that if you smoke pot, that basically you're going to be, you're burning up brain cells. Well, what I've learned is the exact opposite. Okay, is that I use this medically, but because I'm using this medically, my brain is sharper than it has ever been before. Okay, and I'm telling you. Pay close attention to this part here, okay? All the things that Tucker is talking about, and then especially where they get into Assange here, okay? There is some info here that we need to recognize because if you remember correctly, do you remember that Pompeo had all the governors? Okay, you guys remember that he had all the governors in that big auditorium. And he said to him about how he knows about who's linked to China, who's not. He's seen the list, who's getting paid off by China, who's getting paid off by other governments, and all that stuff, right? So you have to wonder, okay, was that a ploy to get us to follow him in one direction while he was making moves against truthers, okay? Because the only thing that Assange did was print the truth, okay? And basically, they have stated time and time and time again that none of the information that Assange posted was fictitious. They said it was all legitimate truth, okay? They were just pissed that he did it. Okay. And here we go with Mike Pompeo, the guy who is supposed to be on our side, trying to kill one of our own. Ooh, I'm going to back this up a couple of seconds and let's watch it.
President Trump on your Christmas tree. All right, so I thought you guys would like that. Now let's start up talking about what are some of the tidbits that I found some of the highlights of this week. And so one is how Tucker dropped this gigantic bomb about Pompeo and that Pompeo tried to have Julian Assange assassinated. Check this out.
London.
I wanted to ask you
Wouldn't
about
put
that.
people in prison
No.
except for a very good reason. And they
Talk about the truth. Talk about the truth being illegal. Look at he's paid for it with dozens of people.
Well, Assange has never been accused of lying or of fraud or of making money in some criminal scheme. Assange has been accused of telling the truth, period.
Yeah.
And they are torturing him to death in front of all of us. No one's doing anything about it. And that Mike Pompeo is a very, very sinister person.
Isn't he?
The worst.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought that, and I've told Trump that. Never should have allowed him to run CIA or state. But Mike Pompeo tried to have him murdered. And that's a criminal act. He's not even charged with a crime in the United States. And Mike Pompeo was CIA director. This came out. Pompeo didn't deny it.
I never heard this.
Oh, yes. Oh,
I
absolutely.
saw it.
Oh my God.
He tried to have Julian Assange murdered, poisoned in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. And that's a fact, okay? Wow. And it's been established. And, okay?
Yes.
Why is Mike Pompeo not in prison?
Wow. That was a gigantic truth bomb. Go over if you want to find that. You can just search on my site. I think I've got it just where it says Pompeo. I don't know what I posted, but anyway, look for that and share that because people have to understand what is going on. These people are criminals, and just because you're part of the CIA, they feel like they have a carte blanche to kill. They literally, this is what is the problem with the cabal. They feel that we are their underlings, that they can kill us if they want. And the only crime that Assange is guilty of is speaking the truth, which is now a crime. All right, so McCarthy is behind all of it. He is behind the Santos. They're trying to threaten anyone who doesn't vote like what McCarthy wants you to vote by having you removed. And that's what the first one was, Santos. And this was a privileged resolution, so it was not able to, Mike Johnson was not able to stop it. So McCarthy is behind this, and guess who is next? They want to take out Matt Gaetz because that's McCarthy's mortal enemy, because Gaetz had him removed. So one by one, they want to remove anyone who stands in their way. That's what they're trying to do. Anyway, so I want you to see that. Yeah, this guy is the slimiest, the swampiest of the swampiest. Yeah. All right. The other thing, I'm sure you guys saw this, but just in case, this is where Oliver Stone was talking with Bill Maher, and he truth bombed him red pilled him about the bioweapons labs in Ukraine. And he brought up about Victoria Nuland. And I wanted you to see that where they didn't have the clip. So I want you to see the clip of where Victoria Nuland calls the Ukrainians. It cracks me up every time I hear her say that. She's trying to sound so smart and intelligent and whatever, and she just sounds stupid. She sounds like somebody from a Star Trek episode. Check it out.
Ukraine, what is that about with the American labs over there?
Oliver Stone explains the U.S. has biological research facilities in Ukraine. Bill Maher had no idea.
Maybe we'll never get there, but I feel like it's tipping toward lab leak. And not bats. It's worse than that, I think. What if we're dumping in Ukraine all the things that what are you talking about? American labs? The labs that we have in Ukraine. For development of research. Of what? All kinds of research, agricultural. We have labs in Ukraine? We had. Well, I don't know. They kind of buried it. Do you remember she admitted it? Nuland admitted it?
I only have a minute left. Let me ask you. Does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which, in fact, we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
Did what? She said we had labs there. Why was that controversial? Were we making anthrax? Maybe. Maybe new versions of it. I mean, we don't know. That's the point, Bill. It was buried. Come on. I'm surprised that you. I'm sorry. I don't know that.
Right. He says everyone has gaps in their knowledge, and we all do. So even, Bill Maher, who's up on a lot of things, but that helps you to connect the dots as to why Putin went into Ukraine. It was because imagine having next door to you 26 bioweapons labs. And the question is, why are they there? Why are they not in America? Well, likely to get away with any kind of illegal activities. They can do that over there. They can do all their trafficking, their drug running, their laundering of money. All these things they can do there because it's outside of the justice system. And it's the head of corruption in all the world. And so I hope that Bill Maher has connected the dots on, why this explains why we had this war to begin with, plus the fact that NATO they're saying they want to add Ukraine in once the war is over. Well, let me tell you something. The war will never finish because Putin will never stop fighting to protect his country from having this Ukraine as a NATO, a part of NATO, right in his doorstep. He's not going to ever stop. So I don't even know. Bottom line, they need to go back. In my opinion, needs to go back and be part of Russia and get rid of all this Ukrainians from Star Trek. Get these Star Trek ones out of there. Check it out. All right. So then this was the one I was telling you earlier. Douglas McGregor says, I don't think we'll get to the 2024 election. Things are going to implode in Washington before then. Our economic financial condition is fragile. It's going to come home to roost in ugly ways. We're supposed to run out of money again sometime either in January or whatever. They're supposed to, run out of money. So this is not over. And reality is, I don't know how we're going to print more because I don't think we even can get any more financing. We're out of a credit limit. So yeah. And what does he mean? What is going to happen? He doesn't feel that we're going to get to the November. We'll see. We're getting to the precipice that where we really have no more financial options. All right, so we'll see what happens. Oh my goodness, this was the bomb to beat all bombs. This one right here with Elon, but this is not the one where he drops the F-bomb. This is the one where he talks about who is the judge. I loved this. I love this. Please make sure to share this because this shows where his thinking is, where his head is. I love this.
And think about that for a
Tell
second.
it to the judge.
But the judge is going to be
The judge is the public.
Oh my goodness, it's my favorite 5 seconds of whatever, 6 seconds of video. Tell it to the judge. And he says, but the judge, and he starts in, and Elon straightens him out that quick. The judge is the people. The people have judged. This is the point of humanity. This is everyone's like, oh, the people in power are the ones who we are the ones who will not buy from them. We will not support them. We will expose them. We will keep posting and posting and posting until everyone knows. We will share. We will tweet. We will email. We will text. We'll send it on the little leg of a carrier pigeon. We'll do whatever we have to do because the people have judged that we're not going to have you remove our free speech. We're not going to have you stifle Twitter or any other platform where we're trying to get the truth out. And what's so very odd is that they're allowing this truth to come out on TikTok and Instagram. It's very, very odd, but for some reason they don't want this truth to come out on Twitter. Very interesting. It's quite something. So let's listen to that one more time.
and think about that for a
Tell
second.
it to the judge.
But the judge is going to be
The judge is the public.
and you think that the public is going to say that Disney is making a mistake,
Yes,
and they're going to boycott Disney?
they already are.
They already are. They already are. I just went to drop off a package at the UPS, and right next to it, it has a Starbucks. And when you see a Starbucks, look and see. There's nobody in the line. The kids won't put a sip of Starbucks to their mouths, and they've lost market share. There's no one going in there. Anyone who does have a Starbucks, it's like a Bud Light. It's like, what are you doing? What kind of creep are you? You must be a pro-genocide person. I mean, and they always, I have to watch to make sure I don't get run over by the people coming out of Starbucks, out of the drive-through. There's not a person in the line. They have really done it. The people have judged. They're not going to buy any Disney. They're not going to, they're up in the prices because they're trying to take it, overcome all the losses that they have. But yeah, that's why he's calling out Bob Iger. And Bob Iger's on the hot seat because Disney's going down in flames. And so Bob Iger's had a hard a few weeks, which doesn't bother me in the slightest. The people, I love it. I'm going to play it one more time.
I'm saying what I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. Fuck them. Okay?
Okay. There you go. Yeah. And this is what the kids or whatever, whoever's on TikTok, there's grown-ups too. I've all kinds of people over on TikTok who are awakened to what is going on, and they have judged, and they're like, we're going to do whatever we have to do to put a stop to this criminal cabal. Very, very, very exciting. Thank you, Elon. He immediately says, ask the judge. The judge is the people. Love it. That's awesome. This is a wonderful post by a man named Scott Ritter. I'd never heard of him before. Real Scott Ritter. He's so succinct. I wanted you to hear him.
Dawson, a geopolitical analyst. Hello, Ryan. Always a pleasure to check in with you. Hope you're doing well.
Ryan Dawson. Check it out.
Well, your initial thoughts on this resumption of hostilities that took place a little over 5 hours ago in Gaza?
It's an interesting conundrum because the Israelis are claiming they want the hostages back, and yet they're willing to carpet bomb apartments, hospitals, churches, mosques. There's really no place that's safe. So why would they believe that they wouldn't kill their own hostages? Then they'll say, well, they're down with Hamas in the tunnels. Okay, well then if you're admitting that your bombing's not going to hit the hostages, then it's not going to hit Hamas either because they're together, then why are you doing it? If you know that you're not hurting the military whatsoever or the militia group.
Do you see his reasoning? Very good point. If you're saying, you're bombing, well, you're going to bomb your own hostages. Oh, well, the hostages are underground. They aren't being harmed. They're with Hamas underground. Well, then why are you bombing the hospitals and the buildings where the people are? There were 3 streets yesterday that completely collapsed. I posted this on social media. They just completely went down in this gigantic collapse of bombing. Thousands of people killed, innocent civilians. So his point is well taken. Very good point. We need to make sure that people understand that if they're saying we're not going to harm our own hostages, which I think the hostages thing is baloney anyway. It's just cover for them to bomb. That's the only reason that they have this story, in my opinion. Is just all of it just doesn't ring true to me. But it's hard to know what the truth is over there. Anyway, but why are you bombing? You're going to harm your own people. Oh, we're not. This is a great point. What then? If you're worried, if you're saying that they're underground, then why are you bombing the people above ground? Their lies do not hold up. Check. Really great. I think Ryan Dawson's awesome.
You're just blowing up people's homes and murdering innocent civilians by the tens of thousands. And in addition to that, they're also attacking the West Bank, where there is no Hamas or hostages. And they've bombed that with the Air Force and artillery too. So it's pretty clear that that's just camouflage. Israel wants to annex more territory and murder Palestinians as an act of revenge because they got humiliated on a.
And I would disagree with that one piece. I would say, no, it was not a humiliation. This was a planned operation all from the get-go. The proof of that, if you haven't seen it, you can go back on some of my older videos or look on the social media, is that The Economist magazine put this out in 2012, that Hamas and Netanyahu with the Zionist logo, Star of David, would come in and fight and shoot from paragliders. They posted this 2012. So that tells you right there. This is not something that just happened. This has been planned for a long time, and it has come out. I think he's going to talk about this, that they had evidence that this was going to happen. They don't talk about how long they had this evidence, but then they let it happen. Okay, so their lies do not hold up. This is what happens every time there's a false flag. They use some storyline and they use a bad guy like Hamas, quote, and they blame Hamas for doing it, and then it gives them what they consider carte blanche to kill millions of people, or in America, to take away our rights. This is how it works. And time again, this playbook is known. They use this playbook over and over and over, and we have to wake up and not fall victim to the lies.
October 7th.
And Ryan, it seems like world leaders all week scrambled, including Western leaders, scrambled to try to extend this temporary ceasefire beyond this 5 a.m. Or 5:05 GMT deadline this morning. My question to you, what happened? How did they fail the Palestinians? Why did we not see the same level of urgency from the regime in Tel Aviv, Washington, or London?
They can say they're putting pressure on the Israelis, but I don't think that's in earnest whatsoever, especially from the United States. If they wanted Israel to maintain a ceasefire, all they would have to do is say not another dime, and it would end right now. So when they're saying, well, we're talking to them, we're negotiating, no, you're not. I understand European states don't have as much leverage, but the United States was giving Israel $4 billion a year, every year annually.
The money talks. That money talks. And Blinken is useless. He's worthless. He's out of his league. I don't know what he's controlled, whatever it is. He is not doing his job, and lives are lost because of him. Same thing with Mayorkas. These people are causing lives to be lost, and they have to be held up on crimes of treason. This is their fault that this is happening. They could shut off the money that quick, but they will not say no to the Israeli cabal.
And completely props up the Likud government. Could end this any second they wanted by cutting off aid. They could register AIPAC under the Foreign Registration Act. There's many things they could do. So they're not being serious about this.
And so thus we are witnessing, Ryan, a resumption of hostilities. My question to you, to what end? And is that end, that objective the Israelis and the Americans want to attain, is it realistic?
No, this is them mowing the lawn. They got caught.
If you've ever heard that phrase, that mowing the lawn is where they go in and there are too many people. So from time to time, they go over and kill people. They've been doing this for 75 years. That's the term they use. It's disgusting. It's despicable. It's demonic. And in Jesus' name, they will be stopped. So I want to play a little bit more of this.
Not be able to wipe out Hamas. They're not serious.
Okay, yeah, this is the part.
They will not be able to wipe out Hamas. They're not seriously even attempting to do that. They haven't gone in the tunnels. They haven't sent special forces in or anything like that. All they're doing is sitting at a distance and blowing up people's homes with their Air Force and artillery. They went into an agricultural sector with their tanks and just started shooting the homes along the beachfront, just regular homes that had already been bombed. They're just knocking things down. They finally went into the urban area. They lost a lot of soldiers. They tucked tail and ran. And so they need more revenge. They'll bomb the South. And they will kill tens of thousands more Palestinians and blame it on the Egyptians for not letting millions of refugees in, rather than blaming themselves, the people actually doing the killing.
And what are your concerns? If it's not realistic that they're going to wipe out Hamas, how far do you think they will take this thing, Ryan?
They say, I mean, it's just rhetoric. They're not trying to wipe out Hamas. They're trying to murder Palestinians. That is all. Netanyahu was hanging by a thread. You know, they had 5 different votes when Benny Gantz was in temporarily. Then Netanyahu gets back to the reins, but he was only able to do that by making a coalition with the extreme right lunatics. His whole cabinet's a bunch of terrorists, the kind of people that say Palestine doesn't exist, and those kind of people. That's his coalition. So in order to maintain power, to stay out of jail, he had to ally with the devil. And these people don't care. They aren't calling Palestinians animals. They call Palestinian doctors veterinarians. They're absolutely disgusting. This is who he's in bed with. And he doesn't really have a clear plan other than, well, just keep bombing and murdering, because no one's going to step in and save him. It's really disgusting. And they, even if they wanted to get rid of Hamas, they can't. There would just be another generation to replace it. The reason people attack Israel is because Israel routinely annexes their territory, holds them under a tight blockade, and murders their children. Right?
Annexes their territory, saying, okay, we're taking this land, and they take their homes and they murder their children. This is what's been going on for many, many years. And so I appreciate Ryan Dawson being very succinct in explaining that to most people who haven't gotten the truth from the mainstream media. Of course, we have to get the truth from alternative sources. So I appreciate that, that he's doing that. All right. So I wanted to show you another video of, actually, let me pause it real quick. I'm going to show you one other quick video. Okay, here was a short video that I found this morning. I think it might be a good one to share to help people understand what's going on.
Dude, what the hell are you doing? Defending myself? What's it to you? You're going to kill him. Oh my God. Why do you hate all followers of my faith so much? What's happening? You criticizing me means you hate me and all adherents to my religion. I couldn't care less what religion you are, buddy. I just want you to stop beating that guy to death. Ah, you see? Defending him. That means you hate us. That's not true. I detest what you're doing in our name. Well, that's because you hate yourself. Mate, this isn't about your religion. Just be reasonable. La, 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 They're doing it again. Yeah, sorry guys. If you criticize him, you're anti his religion. So, but that's ridiculous. Like, it is a bit ridiculous, isn't it? Want me to tell everyone what you did to my grandparents again? He's right. You're wrong. Move along. Oh, and both of you just lost your jobs.
There you go. That's it in a nutshell. That was a great video to share so that people piece this together. Please, for crying out loud, please wake up. All right, so I'm going to read to you a little bit from Zephaniah, because this is about these very criminals that we're talking about. We've got to get rid of. Look at this in Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8. Therefore, be patient, says the Lord. Soon I will stand and accuse these evil nations. Don't think of the word nations. Think of this cabal. Think of the criminal network. These evildoers. I have decided to gather the kingdoms of the earth. That's us. We're gathered together and pour out the kingdoms of the earth. These kings. Don't think of kings. Think of these powerful ones. The kingdoms of this earth, and pour out my fiercest anger and fury on them, and all the earth will be devoured by the fire of my jealousy over how he's harmed, that these people have been harming us. They're not allowed to do such evil to us. Then I will purify the speech of all people, so that everyone can worship the Lord together. My scattered people who live beyond the rivers of Ethiopia will come to present their offerings. On that day you will no longer need to be ashamed, for you will no longer be rebels against me. I will remove all proud and arrogant people from among you. Oh, praise the Lord. How about that one? I love that. Let's read that one again. I'll remove all proud and arrogant people, like on that last video. These proud and arrogant people who feel like they can get away with murder, literally, the Lord will remove them. I'll remove all these people from among you. Yes, there'll be no more haughtiness on my holy mountain. Just everyone being able to get along. Can you imagine? Just think about that a minute, you guys. That one day, very soon, we're going to have these people gone, and then we will be able to live in peace and everyone get along and just live their lives. Those who are left will be lowly and humble, for it is they who trust in the name of the Lord. They're not trying to hurt someone. Humanity wants everyone to be free. They just want the criminals to be gone. The remnant of Israel will do no wrong. They will never tell lies or deceive one another. They will eat and sleep in safety, and no one will make them afraid. Sing, O daughter of Zion. Shout aloud, O Israel, O true Israel. O true Israel, not the fake ones who hijack the name. No, like he was saying on the video, you're using religion for this evil purpose. No, the real people who love God. Be glad and rejoice with all your heart, O daughter of Jerusalem, for the Lord will remove his hand of judgment and will disperse the armies of your enemy. And the Lord himself, the King of Israel, will live among you. How about that? You want to write that one down? Zephaniah 3:15, kind of like think of John 3:16, 3:15, right? John 3:15, the Lord himself, the King of Israel, will live among you. At last, your troubles will be over and you will never again fear disaster. Isn't that awesome? Your troubles will be over. At last, you will never again fear disaster. On that day, the announcement of Jerusalem will be, cheer up, Zion, don't be afraid, for the Lord your God is living among you. How about that? He is a mighty Savior. He will take delight in you with gladness. With his love, he will calm all your fears. He will rejoice over you with joyful songs. I will gather you who mourn for the appointed festivals. You will be disgraced no more. You will be disgraced no more. Who loves Zephaniah 3? I will deal severely with all who have oppressed you. I will save the weak and helpless ones. I will bring together those who were chased away. I will give glory and fame to my former exiles, wherever they've been mocked and shamed. On that day, I will gather you together and bring you home again. home to wherever you live, that you can live in peace and have your home and not have it bombed, not have it taken away, not have it taken with confiscatory taxes, not have it where you can't even live there because it's become so dangerous and because of the health and all the things that are wrong in your town. I'll give you a good name, a name of distinction among all the nations of the earth, as I restore your fortunes before their very eyes. I, the Lord, have spoken. Isn't that awesome? We'll make America wealthy again, make the world wealthy again. How about that? Isn't that awesome? This is from the book. This is from the one, End Times, Major Clues from Minor Prophets, because Zephaniah, this is Zephaniah chapter 3. Zephaniah is one of the minor prophets, and they told us what was going to happen. It's just so great. And the one I was talking about before, End Times and 1,000 Years of Peace. Watch for that video coming out in the next couple of days where we decode the 7 years of tribulation and what it really means. What it really, really means. So you're going to love that. That's coming up. And also this one right here, End Times. This is biblical. All these wonderful stories we've heard all our lives are being played out before our eyes. Gideon and Josiah and Jehoshaphat and all these stories. Maybe you have heard of them. Maybe you haven't. The crossing the Red Sea and all these wonderful stories. They're happening before our eyes. They were a roadmap for us. All these things that the Lord has shown to us. I just wanted you to see that. And last thing before we go is, and these are on Amazon for $2.99, and you can actually give them to someone for a present if you want to send that just an email. You can send it to them or the printed copy, either way. So this is where you go to get My Pillow specials for Christmas, so you can get everybody Christmas presents from My Pillow. Go to mypillow.com/Melly and get all kinds of great gifts. Lovely, wonderful little roll and go anywhere pillows. They're on special. I love, of course, the My Slippers. Everybody's got to have My Slippers. And also, where was I showing here? There's a 2-inch mattress topper and a 3-inch. The 2-inch one is like the softest thing you ever could even hope to sleep on for $99, as low as $99. So check all these out. Go to mypillow.com/Melly and let's pray. Thank you so much, Lord. We praise you for what is happening in this earth to expose the criminals. We know that we're really close to the end because they're being exposed. And you said saving Israel for last. And now we know what that meant. Thank you, Lord, that we're going to see this day, just as Zephaniah told us, where we will be at peace and at rest, and our enemies will be gone, and we'll have all these wonderful things to enjoy on this earth and be home and in peace. We pray for those who are in Palestine right now, the people of Gaza. We pray you would strengthen them and protect them. And Lord, very soon that all this evil will be stopped. Lord, we just can't even imagine waiting until November. We pray that this will happen soon, that this will be this criminal cabal will be stopped, and we'll have this peace on earth that we all long for so much. Lord, I just thank you for all these who are speaking the truth and it's getting out there. Thank you for all the youth who are learning this information on TikTok and how they're sharing all this information. Thank you for having the truth able to go out on Twitter. I pray that you'll just use us, help us to get this truth out and wake up the people, oh Lord. Thank you for Tucker and how he's doing all these red pills, and McGregor, and of course our wonderful President Trump. Thank you. We praise you. We thank you for your promise. We believe you that you're going to fulfill every promise in your word, and it's the end times for them, and 1,000 years of peace and health for us. I pray for everyone in our battalion. I pray you'd strengthen them and help them and encourage them and give them that fortitude to keep going until we see the victory and the vincero. We pray all this in your wonderful name, King Jesus. Amen. I love you guys. I love you so much. I'm so glad that we are here together, and I will talk to you later.
All right, that was Melissa Red Pill, and that was Sunday morning's post. And I thought it was pretty good, and I wanted to make sure that I share that with you guys. Because all these different podcasters, these are all people who've been removed from YouTube, blocked from Facebook, blocked and banned. Most of them were kicked off of Twitter and everything else as well. And it's like, when I look at this situation, I constantly had to say to myself, I can go to these other places and see these people, but a lot of people don't know where to find them, and that's why I put their information there up at the bottom of the screen while their podcast is going on, because if I actually put links in the description, through the links in the description, they would take the channel down. And that's why I do what I do with the splash on the bottom there, because it's important for me to make sure that you guys know where to find these people, where to find their podcasts, because I want you to, if something ever happens to me, I want you guys to be able to go and find things, no, and I don't think I've ever heard of them, but I can look them up. I'll take a look and see if I can find him. I'm bringing back the guys who got me started, the guys who have had me paying attention to things before they had, before everybody got taken down. It's they lay out the truth. They lay it out in such a great way. So, all right, up next, we've got the Seed of Satan. This is an SGT report. Another really good one. Here we go.
The government in the United States of America is perpetuating a lie. So we have a government built upon lies, a system built upon lies, and therefore truth is a crime when you live in an empire built on lies. And so what you and I are living through right now is the final stages of the implementation of Alice Bailey's 10-point strategic plan for a new world order.
Hey friends, Sean from SGT Report here. I'm really glad you clicked play on this one. So that was Clay Clark. And in this one, we discuss the downfall and the very nature of our banana republic, the seat of Lucifer, which appears to be in Geneva, Switzerland. And get this, maybe, just maybe, Clay has identified a person living on Earth right now who just might be the Antichrist. Before we start, just a quick word about our sponsor. If you're over 35 years old and you start to feel tired around noon, I've got a solution. I can pretty much guarantee that I'm about to share with you something really new, and it's a breakthrough supplement based on a molecule Big Pharma doesn't want you to know about because they know how effective it is, and they can't make money off of it. C60 Evo's ESS60 oils are the strongest, easy focus energy supplement I've ever tried. My skin and hair look pretty darn good, and I enjoy more flexibility and endurance because of C60 Evo. I even sleep better at night. Add to that its history of dramatically extending the lives of test subjects, Ristar rats, by 90%, and you'll be hooked too.
Those rats that lived 90% longer, and those are the rats that took the C60 Evo formulation, they lived 90% longer to 62 months, and none of them had tumors.
C60 Evo is made with just 2 ingredients, organic olive oil and a powerful nano antioxidant, 125 times more powerful than vitamin C, called ESS60. You're going to love how you look and feel with C60 Evo. So go to the link, I'll provide it below, and use the coupon code SGTR at checkout for an additional 10% off your initial order. The link is below. Hey friends, thank you so very much for tuning in. It's fantastic to have you back. It's Sean from SGT Report. I have Clay Clark back on the line. He's the founder of TimeToFreeAmerica.com. You can certainly stay in touch with Clay over there and go check out those incredible live events. But where I wanted to start the show today is with this image of El Salvador's President Bukele and Stacey Herbert, who's married to Max Kaiser, the Bitcoin guy. They both moved to El Salvador, and she writes about the philosopher king. What is a philosopher king? The concept of the philosopher king was first proposed by the Greek philosopher Plato in his dialogue, The Republic. It refers to a theoretical ruler who combines philosophical knowledge and temperament with political skill and power. Think Joe Biden. I'm just kidding, Clay. Philosophers are free from the vices that tempt others to abuse power, like trafficking children and taking bribes. They're intellectually superior and are uniquely able to apply their knowledge for the good of the state. Okay, with that said, guys, I want to compare and contrast a philosopher king with a dog king. So here's the philosopher king observing politics in the United States.
The demise of the U.S. has to come from within. The enemies have to be inside, not really outside. No external enemy can cause so much damage as internal. It's an internal operation. When you look how the cities are eroding so fast, this has to be by design. I mean, who would make so many stupid decisions? Like, okay, we're gonna give you money for drugs. But really, they're doing that. In some cities, they're giving people drugs. I mean, they're literally giving people drugs in some U.S. cities. Or they say, okay, we're gonna give you money if you don't work. Or we're gonna, they make all of these laws that make no sense.
He goes on to say it's all being done on purpose. Now, that was a philosopher king. Here's the dog king, Joe Biden.
Instead of cutting them, or like Congressman Trump and Bo were one. Instead of cutting them, or like Congressman Trump and Bo were one.
Clay, I don't even know what more to say.
Well, I think what we're seeing right now is the implementation of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And the Fourth Industrial Revolution was a plan launched by Klaus Schwab and others. And this plan, if you go back, I mean, we can go back. It's kind of like we have to have some starting point. But in 1971, per the recommendation of Henry Kissinger, Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. In 1971, per the recommendation of Henry Kissinger, you saw America switch over to this idea of moving away from the gold-backed currency, moving into a petrodollar. 1971-ish, per the recommendation of Henry Kissinger, America began exporting its jobs to China. In 1971, again, this all happened. We began sacrificing babies to Baal in America, aka abortion. In 1971, the Pope built a building in the shape of a snake head to demonstrate his loyalty to the agenda. In 1971, there's that date again. 1971. You saw the song Imagine, written by John Lennon, demonstrating that pop music had been turned over to Team Satan. That's the 1971 song called Imagine that prophesied the Great Reset. In 1971, the book Rules for Radicals was written, which is often quoted by Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. It's dedicated to Lucifer. In 1971, the Dark Seed comic book series came out that prophesied the Fourth Kingdom. I mean, all these events kicked off. And it's all crescendoing to now. So I 100% agree with those clips that you played there, sir.
Well, the other thing I just wanted to explore is the fact that we have a fallen republic. You know it, I know it. People are waking up in droves. The government in Washington, D.C. is a faux government. It was a government installed in a coup. We live in a banana republic, and we should compare and contrast that to the Republic of El Salvador, where Bukele has made Bitcoin legal tender. So I'm not going to proselytize about Bitcoin. I just want to show people that in our banana republic, we're stuck with this debt problem and a government that only knows how to spend, what, 2, 3, 4, what is it now? $5 trillion a year? Clay, this thing is going to be sitting at $41 trillion or $42 trillion in 2026. So again, Bitcoin versus Bidenomics, the Republic of El Salvador versus the banana republic under Joe Biden.
You know, Pastor Steve Cioccolanti is a good friend of mine. For anybody who wants to look him up, it's Pastor Steve Cioccolanti. Let me look it up. I don't want to get the name wrong here in terms of, like, he speaks at our Reawaken America tours. I love him. I call him Pastor Steve, but I don't spell his last name all the time. It's Pastor Steve, and then it's, let me pull it up here, Cioccolanti. There you go. He actually has spent time with the leadership of El Salvador. And he has said that the leadership of El Salvador is 100% aware of what's going on with the Great Reset agenda. So, to your point, I mean, there are some people that get it, but what are we to do about it? I would just say you kind of start in your living room and you move outward. So one, you're going to see the collapse of the dollar. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they're all teaming up. They're not hiding it. They've all been hoarding the earth's gold for the last 16, almost 17 years. And on January 1st, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and other countries join the BRICS nation. So you're going to have the BRICS 11 starting January 1st, and that'll mean that there'll be more countries buying and selling oil, or more as a percentage of the total of sales. There'll be more oil and gas bought and sold not using the U.S. dollar than using the dollar, and that'll become a mass scale de-dollarization beginning January 1st. So whatever financial moves that you're going to do, I would highly recommend that you get out of fiat currency sooner than later. Second, I'd recommend that you have food stored up, and I'm sure you have great sponsors for both the precious metals and for the food. But I just really think it's a wise idea to be prepared for a Weimar Germany style, Venezuela style, Nicaragua style hyperinflation situation.
Well, I think that's well said, and we don't need to plug our sponsor, but I guess since you brought it up, I will. It's preparewithsgt.com, and having storable foods just makes sense. Having physical gold and some physical silver just makes sense. In my opinion, having some Bitcoin at this point just makes sense. Bidenomics winning? I don't think so. 60% of Americans report their income does not keep up with inflation, Clay. So if you have a family income of 75 grand or less and you're trying to raise a couple of kids, you're already feeling the collapse of the dollar's purchasing power. You're feeling it. And you know what? I bet people making 100 grand as a family household income are feeling it. But the government says inflation has been abated. You know, the Fed is winning.
Well, the government in the United States of America is perpetuating a lie. So we have a government built upon lies, a system built upon lies, and therefore truth is a crime when you have when you live in an empire built on lies. And so what you and I are living through right now is the final stages of the implementation of Alice Bailey's 10-point strategic plan for a new world order. For anybody out there who has a soul and you're a busy mom and dad and you probably don't spend your weekends or downtime reading Alice Bailey's 10-point strategy for a new world order, let me read them to you real quick. Okay, this is her plan that she launched. And by the way, Alice Bailey was celebrated by Ted Turner, the founder of CNN, the United Nations. You might have heard of the Lucifer Publishing Company or the Lucis Trust Company, very closely connected to the United Nations. And she said this is her plan. She wrote this plan. This is the plan. She says, take God and prayer out of education, out of the education system. 2, reduce parental authority over children. 3, destroy the traditional Christian family structure. 4, if sex is free, make abortion legal and easy. 5, make divorce easy and legal, free people from the concept of marriage for life. 6, make homosexuality an alternative lifestyle. 7, debase art, make it run mad. 8, use media to promote and change the mindset. 9, create an interfaith movement. And 10, get governments to make all these law and get the church to endorse these changes. Get the governments to make all these law and get the church to endorse these changes. And that is what's happening right now.
Well, that's 100% right. Inclusive capitalism. That's what Linda Rothschild keeps talking about. And guess who's on board? All of it with her. The Pope and the Vatican. They're 100% on board with the Great Reset, aren't they, Clay?
I think what makes it difficult for a lot of people is that when you hear about these things, you might be Catholic. And so you're like, okay, come on, buddy, quit attacking Catholics. You didn't attack Catholics. You just attacked what the Pope is saying. You know, there's another group that says, oh, come on, my sister's gay. My brother's gay. Stop attacking me. You know, or, hey, I know somebody who had an abortion. And so all of us sort of, a lot of people listening, I'm sure your listeners don't do this. What happens is if you have moral relativism, or what's called secular humanism, you then say that feelings are the ultimate authority. And so as you go through Alice Bailey's 10-point strategy of a new world order, you might say that point number 1, taking God and prayer out of the educational system, is completely unacceptable. Point 2, reducing parental authority over your children. You might say, well, hey, I have to send my kids to public school because I'm busy, buddy. Get off that. Okay. So then 3, you say destroy the traditional Christian family structure. You say, I don't believe America was founded on Christianity because I'm not a Christian or whatever. And you go through these. If sex is free, make abortion legal and easy. People say, well, that's just based on your morals. And over time, as we move away from the Judeo-Christian principles that made our country great, as we start to accept maybe 3 of these 10 points or 2 of these 10 points, what happens is eventually we end up in a country that's godless, that's lawless. It's Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's what we're living through right now.
As in the days of Noah, I'll do another screen share. I want to talk about the 2024 election and trying to secure this election so that they don't steal like they did in Brazil and implant another criminal in Washington, D.C. We'd like to have a free and fair election like the one we just saw in Argentina, where they actually had ballots, physical ballots, and they hand counted all of them in 24 hours. Joe Rogan says Democrats have no cards to play for 2024 except imprisoning Trump, which leads me to this question. We're going to talk about that Newsom versus DeSantis debate, by the way. Newsom, House of Getty, a total psychopath. But Michelle Obama, do you think the shine is coming off of Michelle? Because it doesn't appear that she and Barack have been seen in public together since the death of that chef. And it makes me wonder, how could they run her in 2024 if these two are no longer getting along?
You know, I don't know Michelle Obama or Barack Obama or anyone close to them, but I can tell you that people I know have met them. And they've told me that Michelle Obama is a very, just if you take politics out of it, if you can, she is a very mean-spirited person. And I've heard the same thing of Barack Obama. And so there's only so many times you can try to sell the same lie to the American people before I think those in charge want to look for a different candidate or a different opportunity that might be easier to sell. And Joe Rogan had The Rock on his program the other day, and The Rock was saying that one of the major political parties, obviously the Democrats, have reached out to him and have asked him if he'd be willing to run for office. And I don't know. I think more and more, it's more and more probable we will have a Manchurian celebrity soulless candidate presented to the American people as the Democrat frontrunner. That's what I think is going to happen.
Friends, pardon the brief interruption. Just a quick word about our sponsor. Just when you thought it was safe, interest rates spiked and new threats have come out of nowhere. And adapting to this turmoil is the key to safeguarding your wealth. Perhaps you've not considered gold before, but now is the time. It's insurance. And right now, you need some insurance. Noble Gold Investments has been protecting investors from disaster for years with precious metals. So if you're worried, it might be time to take a fresh look at gold and silver. Gold is a multi-century proven safe haven to shield your portfolio. And right now, Noble Gold Investments is offering a free 3-ounce Silver American Virtue coin with its new IRAs this month. If you open your Noble Gold Investments IRA or 401k rollover right now, you can claim your coin today. Remember, crisis brews, gold insulates. Secure yourself and your portfolio against the threats. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com right now. noblegoldinvestments.com. It's the gold company I trust. All right, let me just show folks this. I'll remind you guys that Biden won evidently 16% of all U.S. counties, the lowest number of counties ever won by a president, by somebody that they claim won the presidency in a fair election. But 78,000 non-citizens or non-residents, illegal voters, have been identified on Arizona's voter rolls alone. So it seems to me, given that latest debate between Newsom and DeSantis, which was sort of a non-debate. It was the weirdest thing. Sean Hannity just sort of asking them questions with no live audience. I thought it was very, very weird. It seems to me the establishment, Clay, just wants Trump to go away. You know, either they're going to try to whack him or they want to put him in prison, leaving us with Newsom versus DeSantis. I think that is the establishment's wet dream.
What was that event? I actually saw clips of it. I just want to know. I really want to get your take here. I mean, I know I'm the guest on today's show, but what do you make of that? I don't understand why anybody would tune in to watch Ron DeSantis debate with Newsom. I don't even understand how that was sold. I mean, if you were like an NBA fan, that would be like saying on tonight's lineup, we've got 2 retired NBA players who are playing on teams that don't practice together, competing head to head. I mean, it's like a weird, if you're watching Major League Baseball, it'd be like, hey, tonight there's the World Series, but we're tonight serving up for you, not the World Series. We're going to play for you the T-ball tournament from the Catholic League. Or it just was weird. I don't even know why people would watch DeSantis versus Newsom on a debate. I don't even understand how that was sold.
Well, I think it's exactly like what happened when Ron Paul was running back in 2012. The media just ignored him because don't you think people would have preferred to see a debate between Vivek and RFK Jr.? See, they're not going to give people actual real debates with thinkers, people that actually have ways to help improve this country. And I'm not saying DeSantis is all bad, don't get me wrong, but Gavin Newsom is pure evil, House of Getty. And by the way, Tucker just made the point that Gavin Newsom's kind of a psychopath. Tucker says that he knows Gavin Newsom. He knows Gavin Newsom could pass a lie detector test because his body temperature doesn't change when he's lying. His pulse rate doesn't change when he's lying. He just can lie like a psychopath. That's what they'd like to put in the White House too, Clay.
Well, I think what's happening again is a lot of people are looking for voices of truth. And I don't know how many broadcasts you've done, let's say more than 2. And I think people, they look at the SGT show, they say, are you willing to talk about the subject that goes against the mainstream media? Because the bigger and bigger the SGT audience gets, or the bigger and bigger an audience gets, the host, in your case, this doesn't happen to you, but a lot of hosts, they start to say, well, I'm not going to cover all the truth because it may exclude some of my audience. And that's why people listen to your SGT report, because they know that you're not going to shy away from the the truth. And ultimately, I believe the Bible is the ultimate sort of source of truth. And maybe someone disagrees, but I want to give people some biblical examples of what's going on right now. You know, the Bible in Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5-6, it tells us there will come a time, and I apologize, I don't have the whole Bible memorized. I'll look up my notes here, but there'll come a time where biblical Persia, biblical Ethiopia, biblical Libya, and biblical Gomer will all surround Israel at the same time. And that's happening with Turkey, Libya, Ethiopia, Iran. The Bible tells us, Matthew chapter 24, verse 37, that it'll be like as in the days of Noah before the return of Christ. Well, the Bible tells us in Genesis chapter 6 that the earth was filled with perpetual violence and wickedness before the flood. And the Hebrew word for perpetual violence and wickedness is Hamas. That's the word. Luke chapter 17, verse 28-28, Jesus is telling his apostles, it'll be like as in the days of Lot before the return of Christ. And the days of Lot were Sodom and Gomorrah. Amos chapter 1, verse 7 tells us that Gaza will have to be destroyed before the return of Christ. Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 4 tells us that Gaza will have to be completely destroyed before the return of Christ. And Isaiah chapter 17, verse 1 prophesied that Damascus, Syria, will be completely destroyed. And since June, China has been sponsoring Palestine. China's been sponsoring Palestine, and the weapons have been moved into Damascus, Syria. So now you start to say, well, where can we fit hyperinflation into the Bible? Where can we find hyperinflation? The Bible prophesied hyperinflation, Revelation chapter 6, verse 5-6. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16-18 prophesied the mark of the beast, or what you might call the quantum dot. MIT is developing the quantum dot, which stores your medical and financial records under your skin. And MIT is developing the CBDCs. And you might say, what kind of a psychopath would fund MIT to create the mark of the beast technology? Well, that would be called Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein. So the world's most prolific pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, who put a temple on his island to pray to Satan, and Bill Gates, who has a satanic spiritual advisor, those two nefarious idiots are funding the MIT lab that's creating the MIT quantum dot, the MIT CBDCs, and what's called quant.network. Look it up, quant.network. That's the technology that makes the CBDCs happen. So now during the lockdowns, the 5G towers went up. So during the lockdown, the 5G towers went up. And now the Earth is covered with these 30,000 low orbit 5G satellites that are blanketing the Earth in the 5G. 5 is penta, G is in gram technology. And under your skin, they want to put this RNA modifying nanotechnology, that connects to the 5G network per the inventions of the nefarious Charles Lieber, the Harvard scientist that got paid $50,000 a month to create this RNA modifying nanotechnology that connects to the 5G, which will make it possible for the quantum dot technology and the quant.network financial system to work. So that's what's happening. And you might say, well, what kind of a sick person would work on this agenda? Well, at Revelation 9:11 and Revelation 2:13, they tell us where Satan lives. What? Revelation 9:11 and Revelation 2:13, they tell us that Satan dwells where Antipas was martyred and where the former temple of Apollo was. The former temple of Apollo was, and this is real, and Antipas was martyred where Geneva is. And so that's why CERN is located in Geneva. That's why the World Economic Forum is located in Geneva. That's why the United Nations is located in Geneva. That's why the World Health Organization is based in Geneva. And so you have a satanic agenda being pulled out of the bottomless pit, the pit of hell, right there in Geneva, Switzerland, to implement the Great Reset agenda. And if you're out there today and you need more biblical proof of what's going on, I'll give you one final one. Revelation chapter 16, verse 12-14. Revelation chapter 16, verse 12-14 tells us that when the Euphrates River dries up, that is when the false prophet will show up. That's Revelation chapter 16, verse 12-14. So this is all happening right now, and I'm here simply to report the facts and point people back to the Word of God, because I really do believe it's go time for Christians to get in the Word of God.
You know, I do worry sometimes that we're being whipsawed into a Book of Revelation World War III scenario, and I don't want to get into the whole Israel stand down thing, but the Apache helicopters, we can get into it if you want, but the Apache helicopters, shooting those party goers right at the dance festival, and there seems to be a bit of a stand down, just like we saw in 9/11, which whipsawed the American people into wars we otherwise would not have agreed with, to go into Iraq and Afghanistan, etc. So I worry about that component. But you mentioned something really important. Geneva, Switzerland, the seat of Satan. The Goddard Tunnel opening ceremony, you'll recall, in Switzerland. Have you seen anything more occult and satanic than that? Clay, that was one of the most satanic occult ceremonies I've ever seen. They paid $6 million to put that ceremony on.
Well, and you can kick me off your show if you want to, but I want to go back to one thing you said, one thing you just said. So, one, the satanic Goddard tunnel being opened there. I mean, that's the most satanic thing. If you haven't seen it, just type in CERN opening ceremony, YouTube, you'll find it. It is nefarious. It's demonic. It's next level. And on the Israel thing, I mean, you would have to have a mind that doesn't work to believe the idea that one of the world's most advanced militaries, I'm referencing the Israeli Defense Force, that they somehow weren't aware that people were infiltrating across the border for 4 to 6 consecutive hours. I mean, think about that for a second. I'm not saying that the whole of the Israeli military is corrupt. I'm saying I agree with what you're talking about. There had to have been some sort of a somebody told somebody to do nothing, because the world's most advanced military was basically duped by people on paragliders and motorcycles. That just seems very unlikely to me. And for anybody who's been to Israel, a lot of your listeners may have been there. The level of surveillance they have now to keep monitors or keep eyes on Hamas and Gaza at all times is pretty remarkable. So I agree with what you said there too.
Okay, and I know that you're up on the Rothschild's Economist magazine, so you've probably seen the cover too that goes back to, I can't remember, was it 2014, 2016? But it shows Hamas guys, terrorists on paragliders with Netanyahu on a paraglider, and it seems like predictive programming, right?
Yeah, well, what's interesting, I think the Bible tells us how it begins and how it ends. So let's pretend that everybody throws out everything I said on today's show, except for one thing. The Bible tells us that when the Euphrates River dries up, China and Russia will team up, and the false prophet will show up. And I can't think of anybody more nefarious than Yuval Noah Harari, whose name in Hebrew means the father of music, as in the days of Noah, shall ascend to the mountaintop. The name Yuval means father of music. Noah, as in the days of Noah. Harari means shall ascend to the mountaintop. And so whether you think I've lost my mind or not, I would encourage everybody, get in the Bible today. Forget what I've said. Just get in the Bible and try to refute me. Make it your fun little game to go, ha, I rebuke you. You are wrong. Ha, that's fine. But just get in the Bible. I want everyone out there to read the Bible. That's my agenda. And I don't earn a commission if you read the Bible. So do that. And then also I encourage everybody tonight, if you go to timetofreeamerica.com, timetofreeamerica.com, you'll notice that Alina Habba, President Trump's attorney, chief legal spokesperson, Eric Trump, Don Jr., Kash Patel, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, so many courageous voices, Mike Lindell, General Flynn, pretty much everyone who's being sued, subpoenaed, persecuted, or prosecuted. We're all going to be in Tulare, California at the same time, which is just outside of Fresno. And you say, why would we do that? And by the way, why do I let everybody name their price? Why can't everybody just pay whatever price they can afford? Why would I do that? Why would I do these events for the last 2.5 years? This is my final West Coast event that I will be doing called the Reawaken America Tour. And this will be the final event that we'll do on the West Coast as a team here. And then in June, we'll have our final event that I'm aware of. That'll be in June in Michigan. And the reason why Roseanne or Jim Brewer or Owen Schroyer, or by the way, keep praying for Owen Schroyer, who continues to remain in prison, Mel K, so many of these wonderful people. The reason why we come together is not because we want to have a blasty blast. I don't get 70 speakers together over a 2-day event where you can name your price just because I want to have a family reunion. I do it because I sincerely want everybody to wake up to the truth of what's going on. And so if you're listening today, we have just under 300 tickets remaining for the Reawaken America Tour, Tulare, California. And if you say, hey, I heard about you through the SGT show, it's my fun gift for your audience. Again, you can name your price, folks. But if you do say you heard about us through SGT at timetofreeamerica.com, what you can do is you can actually have a chance to win a backstage pass, because we only have 300 tickets left. So if you say, hey, I heard about you through SGT, we'll give away one backstage pass winner to one of your wonderful listeners.
Well, that's fantastic, guys. I'll try to remember to leave a link below. And I guess as we part ways, what are your projections for 2024? Who is going to be in the race and who's going to win? Who will be the next president of hopefully our restored Republic of the United States?
Well, two things. I mean this sincerely. This is not a backhanded compliment. I mean this sincerely. I believe that regardless of what happens, you're going to continue reporting the truth. And I believe that the United Nations is going to try to censor you, me, and other people that want to find the truth. So I believe that those are two predictions that I can deliver on, that we're going to share the truth and that the United Nations will try to censor us in a way that we've never seen before. Next level censorship. And that's what I believe will be happening. And I believe that our God and Savior, Jesus Christ, knows the beginning and the end. He's the Alpha, the Omega. He's the author of Genesis, the author of Revelation. And I just believe that we are living through the fulfillment of a lot of the things that the Bible talked about in Luke chapter 21, Mark chapter 13, and Matthew chapter 24. And maybe somebody disagrees, but I would encourage you to read Mark chapter 13, Matthew chapter 24, and Luke chapter 21. And I also appreciate you being one of the few people that I know who's willing to question the narrative every time there is a narrative. And you're the only narrative that I know that you have on the SGT show is that you question every narrative.
Well, that's actually pretty true. And that's simply because they have lied to us about just about everything our entire lives, Clay.
True.
Hey, one final question for you. And this is sort of a big subject, so we don't have to go there. I'm just curious. We can talk about it another time. Are you following that Ashton Forbes investigation into the vanishing, the disappearance of MH370, that passenger aircraft? You following that at all?
I am not following that at all, but I can tell you the only reason I'm not following that is because you and I have a certain number of hours every day, and I really drilled down on the collapse of the U.S. dollar and BRICS, and so that's kind of my one. I cover the news of the day, but that's my one area that I obsessively focus on, and so I will absolutely listen to anything you'll send my way.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to email you as soon as we get offline 2 videos, one of which is about a 5-minute piece from Greg Reese. You must watch it just to get up to speed on this particular topic. And then about a 45-minute, 50-minute interview between Alex Jones and Ashton Forbes. Ashton Forbes is brilliant, by the way. The video that has been released, classified video that was leaked, showing the disappearance of this aircraft, calls into question the very reality as we know it, Clay. It's very, very wild stuff. And by the way, Kim.com has offered a $100,000 reward for any of that video footage that does not include the orbs circling the plane, which look a lot like UFOs. It looks like UFO technology, but no, it's not. It's military technology. Really, really interesting stuff, Clay. So maybe we can get you on again in the future and talk about that.
I'm going to staple my head to the carpet to decrease the mental pain I'm feeling right now. Thank you so much for blowing my mind. I really do. Seriously, every time I'm on your show, I learn something. I really am honored to be here with you. And I consider you to be a friend. I appreciate all that you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Clay. Appreciate you too. All right, guys, I will leave a link below, timetofreeamerica.com. Go check it out live. Friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Check us out every day for free at sgtreport.com. That's the antidote to corporate propaganda. God bless you and yours. Bye-bye.
All right, that was the X-22 report. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Nicholas Veniamin coming up next with Lloyd Brunson. Let's see what these guys got to say. Here we go.
Hello and welcome. Today we've got Lloyd Brunson, and today we are going to be discussing the situation with Ron DeSantis. What do people really want? And also I want to discuss Robert Kennedy and Trump and the Constitution. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to my Instagram channel at Nicholas.Veniamin, where you can follow all my daily news reels. Lloyd, thank you so much for joining me once again. It's an honor. How are you and what have you been up to?
Great to be here, Nick, and congratulations on being with President Trump, meeting him, getting your picture taken with him. So I've been out speaking a little bit, and I've been with Juan 07, and we'll be talking again today. We're going to be launching something really soon. I think I might have mentioned it before, where it's not just a letter campaign. We're talking about everyone being able to sign their own individual petition for redress of grievances. First time ever, I think, that anyone has had an opportunity to do that and even know what it is. And so this is an actual petition, individual petition people can sign. It'll be sent to the government through the Supreme Court, asking the court to not just adjudicate the Brunson cases, but there's 6 other highly important cases presented by the states having to do with the 2020 election. And the Supreme Court can take those off the shelf and do the right thing to clean up this mess. So that opportunity is coming up.
So if we sign these petitions, they're successful, they're heard by, the courts, and they clean this up, you're saying that we could potentially have free, fair elections
Absolutely. Much more than free, fair elections. We're talking about if every single person that voted for Trump signed this petition for redress of grievances, asking the court and the government, demanding that they clean this mess up through their power, game over. It's like you have 100 million people saying, hey, the oath needs to be binding. Let's do something here. That is huge. Public opinion is so powerful. People don't realize it. The court, the Congress, they follow public opinion. So this is an extremely important and critical time, an incredible opportunity for America to come together individually as a group to support a petition for redress of grievances. And this is the first opportunity anyone's really had an opportunity to do that in this kind of a way in the history of this country.
For the sake of the video, would you mind telling us exactly where we can go to find the petition and sign it?
Right. Well, right now you can go to LloydBrunson.com, and those are letters that you can send to the Supreme Court, and that's still a foundation. That's still good. You can go to LloydBrunson.com and send that letter and get in the practice of it, so that when the petition is online, which should be within the next couple of weeks or so, then it'll be easier to do that. And there'll be instructions to for people if they want to do a physical letter or physical petition as well. And then there's some people that have approached me that they want to fund certification of each letter, so it would be certified U.S. mail. And so we're talking to people about that. That was their idea, and they want to do that. So they want to make that available for everyone that signs a petition at their cost. So it'll be a certified U.S. certified mail petition for redress of grievances. So we have even a better record of it.
Absolutely. Now, if we have fair and free elections, assuming that we do, I really think without a shadow of a doubt, Donald Trump will be winning by far, because we've already seen a president in action, as opposed to somebody else where, for an example, I'm not a fan of Vivek Ramaswamy. And I say this because I like what he says, but a lot of it is, everything he's repeating, everything that Donald Trump has says. What do you think about that? I don't think he's original.
Yeah, I think he's going to support Trump in the end, 100%. I think he's going to tell his followers and supporters to get behind Trump, and he's going to get behind Trump. I have a good feeling about him. I've talked to him a little bit, and I like what he says about the Constitution. So I think he, with the others, are going to come around and give Trump their full support.
I really hope that.
In the past, that's what happened in the past. Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio and all those, they supported Trump. So
I really hope that's the case. So yeah, we will have, hopefully we do have honest elections. I hope that, Donald Trump is very passionate about, running for the primaries. And I think that he's put in a lot of work into his message and into the rallies. And I hope that him and his team have put, precautions in place to prevent any election fraud further. How do you think they're measuring those?
Well, I don't know. I just hope so. I really do hope so. But he has a track record. There are no other candidates that have a track record. They can talk the talk, but he's walked the talk, hasn't he? He's really actually done things. And so Democrats, as you know, Democrats in large numbers are coming over to his camp. People are seeing the destruction that's happening from this incredibly inept and evil administration. And so they're seeing this wreckage, and they want to correct it. And they know that Trump would have done it had he become president, which he should have been.
And if he was re-elected to his second term, and unfortunately there's still the election, and we've got to go through all of this now. Biden's here. People are waking up because Biden's ridiculous, which I think is good. People are waking up and they're seeing how the left are. But Donald Trump said the last 3 months of his last term that if he's re-elected, he will completely get rid of the payroll taxes. What are your thoughts on the payroll taxes?
Well, I actually have had a conversation with President Trump. You can go to YouTube and do a search for President Donald J. Trump and Lloyd Brunson. And I actually approached him a little bit in this question. It was on national news about Ron Paul. Ron Paul was going around saying, hey, 1.6 trillion of the debt is fictitious because it was created out of thin air. And then we see Tucker Carlson saying, hey, $1 trillion created out of thin air. Why are we being taxed at all for that? If the government can create money, it's really supposed to be profit for the Treasury, not tax debt for the government. So the Constitution is set up in such a way where we don't need to be taxed. If we had an honest government, they would be able to create out of thin air money, but control the power of it and the value of it with the Constitution to take care of all of our needs. And even Alan Greenspan said there's only one reason for tax, and that's to curb inflation. That's a bunch of hogwash. So we've been deceived, and people need to understand that we have an incredible Constitution with an incredible system that could reduce and altogether eliminate all taxation right down to the local level. And I think Trump's on board with that from things that he said.
It's very interesting you say that. So you're saying that not only you, but even Donald Trump probably agrees, and also Ron DeSantis. We're going to speak about him in a minute. But yeah, and also Tucker Carlson. They're saying that this money is created by thin air. Okay, so that means
Out of thin air. Yeah.
And are you
even
s-
if we keep, yeah.
And are you suggesting that because it's been printed and created out of thin air, where people now have to pay back thin air with interest, thin air, this is all a big fraud, right? So if it's a big
Well,
fraud,
it sounds really confusing, but if we just not throw the baby out with the bathwater, if we just take the system that we have, it's like I've had conversations with members of Congress about this. If we were to simply enforce the nonprofit status of the Federal Reserve, just start there and to see the rippling effect of what that would do, that would eliminate taxation. That right there, if you think about it, like Tucker Carlson said, $1 trillion out of thin air. Let's just say we're not going to attack thin air. We're not going to attack it because it's out of a thin air. Let's just say that's the system that's happening right now. And let's just say we take that and do what they're supposed to do. Then the Federal Reserve is nonprofit. They're not supposed to bill our Congress for that trillion. And they are. That's Congress's trillion. That's the Treasury's trillion. They're not supposed to bill the Treasury. So that not only eliminates interest, it eliminates the principal debt as well. I've had conversations with Stephen Moore, President Trump's former chief economics advisor, and he agrees with us. But it's a really tough pill for people to swallow because then it creates questions. But it's really, if you just go simply, hey, the system that we have, enforce the nonprofit status, and what does that mean? That means instead of $1 trillion of tax debt, it means that's $1 trillion in profit for the Treasury. We start there, and then we can get into the nuances of what to do to perfect it.
a controversial question that I want to ask you, Loy, is because this is thin air debt, does that mean that if this is a fraud, then all of the loans that were given to citizens, and this is bank loans, mortgages, then shouldn't it be null and void if it's thin air, if it's fraud?
Well, it could probably not only be, it would probably result in tax refunds, elimination of tax, and then tax refunds to those who have paid into the system, because the Constitution is really a tax-free system. And so the out of thin air part is like, I'd like to eliminate the word out of thin air, because that is the one incredible power of government, that it's okay. They can create money out of thin air and back it with any amount of gold or silver that they want if they choose to. They could back each dollar with a trillionth of an ounce of gold. Just like money from stores, there was a Sears dollar and say redeemable for $1 at the store, but in cash, you only get 1/16 of a penny. Okay, so that would allow the trade, the bartering back and forth with the money to change in value, which it does, without affecting what the government would have to redeem it with, if that makes any sense. So we could have a stabilized currency. So the simplest way to explain it is if we simply took the Federal Reserve System and enforced their nonprofit status, the wealth that would come back retroactively, not just money, but we're talking about real global wealth that would come back into the pockets of the taxpayers of the United States, would far exceed the federal debt. So we have been ripped off, we have been stolen from, we have been lied to, and we need to get on the track of a no tax system, which the Constitution is. And then we don't have to worry about the IRS or any taxation whatsoever. And then we can really feel comfortable about getting out of bed and going to work and keeping what we earn.
I want to have a little bit more transparency from you in respect to the contracts that the banks have issued under this organization that they're doing. Do you believe that the contracts will become null and void? Do you think they're just null and void because of fraud? I mean, that's what happened if you've got an insurance policy.
Well, that's a lot of the nuances, absolutely, because when you find out you've been defrauded, and global organizations have defrauded you, then they need to make restitution, right? They need to pay back what they've stolen. And so I get into that. This is the focus of this little book you can get at 7discoveries.com. And so it would have quite an amazing effect. See, people think that the money creation and banking is the same thing. No, the government needs to get out of the banking business. The Federal Reserve should not be, you can't be creating, the government should be creating the money, and the private individuals should be the banking part of it. So if you have money, you have loans, you have money, you want to start a bank, you can start a bank. But the government should not be in the banking business. But the government, according to Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, is supposed to be in the money creation business, okay, for a currency. So it sounds complicated. I'm going to publish more information about that and show charts and stuff so people can easily understand it. But if you just say, hey, $1 trillion out of thin air, is supposed to be profit for the Treasury and not attack the fact that it's out of thin air, because Congress has the power to coin money and determine its value. And that's out of thin air. And if they want to back it with a certain amount of gold or silver, the Congress has the power to do that.
Absolutely. Now, I want to speak about Ron DeSantis now. What's the situation with Ron DeSantis? Do you think the people want him, or do you think there are some people that want him? What's your take on Ron?
Well, can you imagine being Ron DeSantis knowing that Trump is so way ahead of you and that Trump is going to be the nominee? He is going to support President Trump. He has in the past. It's going to be a love fest. Look at the fighting that happened with the election where Donald Trump won. All these people were name calling, each other. Ted Cruz was calling Trump names, and so was Marco Rubio, going back and forth. But in the end, they all supported Donald Trump. And that's the Republican Party. They have a contract. They have to support the nominee, and they will.
It doesn't really matter if it's Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, Robert Kennedy Jr., because we all support freedom and the Constitution. So if they put their egos to one side, and obviously we know the people want Trump, and we also seen an honest, ethical track record of Trump as president, then they will all step down and they will entrap the other side, the deep state, the liberals, and they will vote for Donald Trump. I think that's the most sensible and logical thing to do if you genuinely want freedom and to free humanity from enslavement. What are your views?
That's exactly what's going to happen. They're all going to step down and they're going to support Trump. I'm not sure about Robert Kennedy, but I think even he will step down and support President Trump. He's not running as a Republican, but the Republican candidates are required. They've signed on to supporting the nominee, and they will do that. So they're all going to step down and support President Trump.
I do like Robert Kennedy Jr. My only concern with Robert Kennedy is that he comes from a very liberal family, especially his wife, and they are pro-abortion. They support abortion.
Well, President Reagan was a Democrat, and so was President Trump. President Trump supported abortion, but they shifted. And look at Saul, look at the Bible. Saul, can you imagine being a member of Christ Church, where it was really him directing the church, and he calls an apostle who had been killing your family members because they were Christians? I mean, that would be a tough pill to swallow. I would use that analogy with people when they were having problems with Trump's personal life. It's like, hey, you're a Christian, you believe in the Bible, you accept Paul as an apostle. He was killing Christians. He was doing a lot worse things than President Trump. So why can't you support President Trump? So
absolutely. I hear that the viewers are very, they've been calling for you to make a Christmas music or something like that you'd like to show to the viewers. Why don't you tell us?
Yeah, a few years ago, the Brunson brothers got together and did a Christmas album. And Jay Osmond is on there. He was a neighbor and a friend. And so he's playing the drums and singing Little Drummer Boy. And then there are other Christmas songs on there. The guitar player helped put it together. The guitar player is Jamie Glazer. It was on the cover of Guitar Player magazine. Played with Chick Corea for quite a while, and Manhattan Transfer, a bunch of groups. And then we have this one also. It's an instrumental that my brother Gaynor wrote that he and I did together. And that has Carlos Santa's percussionist on it. It has Sting's drummer, Vinny Caluta, on it. Steve Lukather from Toto's playing on a cut. So we have a lot of really famous musicians on this. And that's available at 7discoveries.com for Christmas. And I think so there's an opportunity there if you want to get some music for the stockings and gifts. We have that available at 7discoveries.com.
Absolutely. Well, Lloyd Brunson, you're doing amazing work. I really appreciate you and your service to contributing to freeing humanity, not just in the United States, but even where I'm from in the UK and for the rest of the world. I do believe America first, because that's the source and the cause of, and the start and the beginning of all the problems, and that's where we need to start. If America falls, the whole world falls. So thank you so much. And if there's anything in any way that I can contribute to helping, I don't want anything in return. I just want to be at service to anyone that I can help. Please do let me know. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
No, just a reminder to go to LloydBrunson.com and see how that thing is, how the letter campaign works, and watch for the petition that's coming down the pike that's going to be there on 7discoveries.com to pick up some of these new books, the 2024 edition of the Constitution that has information about money and everything like that. And then have a Merry, Merry Christmas, everybody, and happy holiday season, and keep up the fight. We're on the winning side. We're on the winning team here, and we're going to prevail. The Lord's behind. The gospel of Jesus Christ is the gospel of freedom and liberty, and people that are involved in freedom and liberty are feeling the Spirit of Christ. It's the same Spirit. So let's just keep at it, keep the fight going.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you too, Loy, and to your family. And we'll speak very soon. You take care and God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nick.
All right, that was Nicholas Veniamin, along with Lloyd Brunson. Boy, always does some great interviews. You know, he's a lover of the Constitution. We appreciate everything that he's doing in standing up for America. Absolutely. All right, up next we got And We Know. Yep, fresh out this morning. Here we go. LT. Remember, if there's any music on, I'll be turning down the volume until the music's over. All right.
And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ.
You know, I'm dealing right now with actual cases where, for example, a reporter who mocked Liz Crokin for Pizzagate was himself arrested with child pornography that included babies involved with grown men. If you don't want me using your children in ritual sacrifice, in satanic ritual sacrifice, then you have to stand up and do something about it, because if you don't, your silence, your lack of action, or for example, what you just did on The View, what you showed there, that is viewed as consent. So you've just now consented to it, so they're not committing a crime.
Well, folks, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We have been bombarded by so much lately. It was nice to see President Trump in Iowa to keep the speeches coming and more. The biggest news comes out of Chicago as the black community standing up against the Democrats. Finally, they had to see it and feel it. It's just the beginning, folks. We got a lot to cover today. Here we go. So, folks, I want to play something I played at the end of one of the videos a few weeks ago. It's Paul Harvey, Warning to America. If you're looking at your screen, Ultra MAGA Party put this together, added a few things, made sure that the audio sounded really good, and I just want to make sure we play this at the very beginning.
If I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of the serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flame. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography.
We're talking about 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds and 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds. He's got over 600 images, gobs of video footage of these children. But you say this does not signal a heinous or egregious child pornography offense. And then you went on to say the defendant was merely trying to satisfy his curiosity. that's somehow a reason to only give him 3 months. Help me understand this.
Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. I would caution against extremes.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represented extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
Very chilling. And if you're looking at your screen, the way that these images were brought up, that was a lot of work. Way to go, Ultra MAGA Party, and showing us exactly how this was playing out years ago. Paul Harvey had it nailed. We head to President Trump taking the stage in Ankeny, Iowa.
These are our friends. These are the people that are going to really help us on that very special evening coming up in 45 days, right? 45 days. And we're going to do something that I think it's the most important election in the history of our country. I used to say that about 2016, but this will be the most important election in the history of our country because our country is going to hell. It's going to hell rapidly. It's not taking long. In fact, it's hard to say this because it's such a negative thought, but 1 year is a very long time. We're actually now even a little less than a year, but that's a very long time. The kind of destruction that they've been doing to our country is just not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
Not acceptable at all. Country is being destroyed. He reminds us of this all the time. Folks are paying attention. I think I wanted to show you something now. I was going to wait till later. As he went to Iowa, this was sent out by Dan Scavino, if you're looking at your screen. And there's a woman weeping, tired, broken, not seeing anything great for the future unless true leadership steps up to the plate. Dan Scavino posted, "We've got you. Stay strong. Grab your family, grab your neighbors, grab your friends, and get out to caucus for real Donald Trump on January 15th, 2024. Let's go, Iowa." Anybody else feeling like this? Anybody else sitting down on the couch, house is empty, went to pick up the Bible and just lost it? Many are. I had one saved for the end, but I'll play it now. This is President Trump as he gives a speech. Folks noticed a pause. I don't know if this was Iowa or not, but I know that at one point in one of his speeches, he also had the face of just wanting to weep. Check this out. And the way that he's looking around, you can notice, and I mean, you can just see on his face, he wants to talk, but he can't. He doesn't want to show anything, any type of scratchy voice or anything, because he doesn't want folks probably to know that at times it's pretty emotional. We're all made in the likeness and image of God. And we know when God was on earth, Son of God, Son of Man, Jesus Christ, periodically we are shown in scriptures that he wept. And so as we go through all of this, the destruction, the pain that's been thrown at us, the folks that hid this from us for years, making us look like everything was just honky-dory, we had great elections, We were all, voting for this president, that president, looking for a great future, looking for change and all this. It was all make believe. And President Trump shows up, destroys all of that. Folks start waking up, and now the evil ones have been fighting us since 2015 and beyond to today. They have not given us rest. They've done all they can to destroy this man and his family, destroy us, deplatform us, take us off of Patreon, Teespring, YouTube, and more. I mean, folks have just been, their lives have been demolished. I got an email from one of the folks that used to support me on Patreon before they took me down, flight attendant, did not take the jab, watched many of the folks that did take the jab. They're sick, they're dying. She's running out of money and resources. She's upset. She's in pain. And President Trump continues to address this.
American dream is dead with them in office. It's sad. We had such a dream. We had such an American dream. We had such an incredible administration, but it died when these people came into office. Over the past few years, you've watched Biden and his band of Marxists, communists, fascists try to crush free speech, censor their critics, criminalize dissent, destroy attorney-client privilege, which is something nobody ever thought they'd see in this country, and even attempt to imprison their leading electoral rival by far on bogus charges. That happens to be me, in case you forget. Happens to be me. But somehow I'm not worried. I'm not worried. That's why we're doing this, because we have to straighten out our country.
That's why we're doing this. Not worried. We had to do this. We had to wake up the masses. And no, as we've gone through this over the years, it's been very difficult. Times when we get excited, times when we're up, times when we're down. They had to know this entire time with this, as we remember, the pause that they pulled in and more. And we're going to show that as a reminder. Things had to play out the way they are to wake up those that are asleep. And I tell you, even those that I've been around, even the pastor that I was driving in a van once years ago, before we stopped attending there, got so angry at me for telling him the truth about how Satan lies and uses mainstream media. Couldn't believe it. Believe science, believe the media, because they are truth tellers just like the Bible. When I told him they are not, they are used by Satan, who is the liar and the father of lies. Instead of agreeing and understanding and asking questions, he was filled with anger. It reminded me of a debate that I saw this weekend where a pastor acted like a child because all the truth that was thrown at him from Scripture made him angry. It's hard for folks. We have to pray for those that are not awake. I remember being angry when somebody told me 9/11 was a farce. I couldn't believe it. I was filled with anger and rage. I remember that. Thank God he rescued me from that and showed me the truth. Federal court rules Trump does not have presidential immunity from January 6 civil lawsuits. They're still after him. MJ Truth showed this. Here we go. Federal court rules Trump does not have the presidential immunity, right? Fear not. All I see are precedents being set. That is why he is President Trump. Way to go, MJ. Remember, they've opened Pandora's box.
You wrote today on Truth Social, I will appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the USA, Joe Biden, and the entire Biden crime family.
Well, they've opened up the box, but now they've opened up the Pandora's box. And now we can do it now, because now the box has been opened. It's the Pandora's box that has been opened, and it's been wide open. So I'm allowed to do that. People will...
Pandora's political elite box. He's also broken the veil, and now Trump's allowed to do whatever he has to do.
And now I can say things that normally, out of respect for the presidency, I would never have said things like I can say now, because they've broken the veil. And when you break the veil, I'm allowed to do what I have to do. And he's the most corrupt president we've ever had. He's
allowed to do what he has to do. And never forget, the pause allows for people to see how bad it really is.
Much criticism is being placed on the fact that the Republican Party should have done better. And frankly, much of this blame is correct.
but the citizens of our country have not yet realized the full extent and gravity of the pain our nation is going through, and the total effect of the suffering is just starting to take hold. They don't quite feel it yet, but they will very soon. I have no doubt that by 2024, it will sadly be much worse, and they will see much more clearly what happened and what is happening to our country, and the voting will be much different. 2024. Are you getting ready? And I am too. I am too. And one of the beautiful things of the pause, if there is such a thing as a beautiful thing, one of the important factors of the pause is that we see how bad they've done. So we will be able to do it properly, and it will be much easier. Everybody will agree with us because everybody sees what a bad job has been done during this 2-year period, and it will be a 4-year period. Everybody sees that. It will be much easier for us to do what has to be done.
It'll be much easier to do what has to be done with a pause. It'll be much easier for President Trump to take over, to then ensure that, according to law, folks that committed treason against our country and stealing elections for years, and crimes against children for years, and crimes against humanity with Big Pharma for years, it'll be much easier for folks to accept having them arrested, tried, and put away for treason. Had he done this when he first became president with all the knowledge that he had from years and years of this operation playing out, had he turned around the moment after inauguration and said, "You're all under arrest," and had the military, who actually walked up behind him, the JAG, if they would have just turned around and he said, "Take them all in," the world they weren't ready for that. We know that. There would have been panic. There would have been chaos across this entire earth. How dare you take Obama's? There's great. Don't take Barack and his husband, Michael. Don't take the Clintons. We love them. It would have been just crying and people would have had no clue. But now we're getting closer to the fact where folks are realizing just how corrupt they were, how evil they are. The Bushes too, the Cheneys. Whew. Do you get it? Well, here's something to help you. Folks, if you're looking for a gift, maybe give the runner on your list the gift of less pain after exercise. Wouldn't a calmer mind this holiday be the perfect gift for yourself? CBDistillery.com has you covered and their full range of carefully formulated CBD and plant-based solutions. CB Distillery's healing plant compounds are made with the highest quality, clean ingredients. No artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives, and with over 2 million customers and 100% money-back guarantee, CB Distillery is the source to trust. This year, give the gift of a calmer mind, better sleep, and less pain after exercise. And with code LT, you can stuff all their stockings for 20% off. Visit cbdistillery.com and enter the code LT for your discount. No prescription required. That's cbdistillery.com. Promo code LT for 20% off.
You see 26,000 people from China, all young males. Okay. So what's going on with that? 26,000 people just was reported over a short period of time. This isn't a long period of time. So what are we building a little army in our country? And we have.
Is he telling us what's going on? We showed you the video a few weeks ago where you had all these Chinese military haircuts, nice clothes, just coming across the border. Are they setting up a military to infiltrate our country? Folks looking into this? Is America aware of what's going on? Not only that, if you're an illegal and you come across the border, you're actually taken care of more than you are if you served our country as a veteran and went to fight in other wars and you weren't home during the holiday seasons because you had to leave your family. or you were away from family because they stationed your entire family overseas in another country where you couldn't come home, you didn't have enough money. Boy, if you come here illegally, they take good care of you. Check this out.
To use in the VA. I pay an exorbitant amount of taxes to this country, and I can't even get seen for basic needs. But illegals can. They can literally cross the border with all these pre-existing medical injuries or illnesses or whatever they have going on, and they literally walk right into a primary care doctor or specialty care doctor and get whatever services they need. And what we're learning now, Darren, is that the VA is part of facilitating the reimbursements and the payments for this. Now, VA is denying they're involved in this, of course, but there's a VA in front of the process by which these healthcare providers get reimbursed for the care they're providing for illegals.
No, absolutely. I mean, the documents are true. I mean, you can take a look at these documents, anyone online. There's a portal online at the ICE, which directs them to go to the VA. The VA, the documents show from ICE that they processed had 161,000 medical claims. ICE says that every provider that they take the unauthorized migrant to, that the provider have to send their MedPAR, their claims to the VA. VA is processing them. Look, VA processes it for community care. They should be spending all their time processing the claims for veterans, not for other agencies, not for unauthorized migrants. It's a fact that they are doing it. And because of that, veterans are suffering, and they are ones getting bills, and providers are leaving the system. It's totally corrupt, and it's got to be investigated. It's got to be stopped.
You're making my blood boil just hearing that. When you consider how difficult it is for a vet, first of all, to just be seen at a VA facility, then to get authorized to go outside for care, then to get actually reimbursed for that, because that system is so dysfunctional. Instead of focusing on making that work for vets, we're facilitating payments for illegals in this country to get medical and dental. And then the VA says, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Darren, thank you for doing the work on this. Folks can check out the story at foxnews.com. I hope.
Way to go, Darren. This information makes your blood boil. Many of us who are veterans understand this whole system and how crazy it is. When President Trump stepped in, remember, he said he's going to fix the VA. He saw all the chaos and the craziness and the folks that were hired to take care of the VA, just walking around, drinking their coffee, collecting their government service checks, their contractor checks. They didn't really care. Now they're protected. Everything seems to be taken care of. And then they just give them new roles. Like, look, all these migrants that are coming across, just take care of them. Put the VA in the back, but make it easy for these guys that can barely speak our language. Just take care of their medical, will you? Folks that aren't having it anymore, folks that are finally seeing it, would be out of Chicago. Check this out.
Of Chicago and any Republican candidate in the city of Chicago, now is your time, because we are done with the Democratic Party. Brandon Johnson, Governor Pritzker, and President Biden have showed us what they think about the black community all over this country. And so we're standing here today to say, okay, if that's what it is, we win it. We don't have to support the Democratic Party. Right. We don't have to continue to support people who are not going to support us. And the Democratic Party here in this city, in this state, and in this country is not supporting us. You got the Republicans on one side and the Democrats on the other side. Guess what? They're part of the same bird. That's right. So it doesn't matter anymore which party we go with. But I'll tell you this, I'd rather deal with the snake that's outfitting himself of the Republican Party than the snake that's covered up in the Democratic Party. That's right. We're not going to continue to stand for this. We're not going to continue to allow our state senators, our congressmen, our aldermen, and our mayor to let us know that we don't matter. Just like you're going to show us that we're going to matter, we're going to show you. It's going to be a great day in the city of Chicago when the Democratic convention comes here, and then they found out in March that a lot of black voters took Republican ballots.
Deal with it. Deal with it. And so all of this is playing out through social media. It's being shared like crazy. It's getting millions of views. And, she's not the only one that's talking here. This video clip from Citizen Free Press. If you think you're going to have a peaceful Democratic National Convention in Chicago, while our people are starving. Stay tuned. Check this out from this clip here.
Black Americans. We're not African American. We're not people of color. We're not black and brown, minority, BIPOC, none of that. People, no, none of that. Strict, this is about our people demanding the resources, just as you're giving these people, these newcomers who are walking into this country. And sister's correct. How do you take a new group of people that have paid no taxes, can't vote, and you put them in front of the voters?
I'm not going to pay them no taxes.
And so we say this to you, Mayor, Governor, President. If you think that they're powerful, that you have to acquiesce and answer them over us, then you tell them to vote for you in these next elections. You tell them to support your Democratic National Convention. We're going to show you how we feel about the Democratic National Convention.
Turn it up. Thank you.
If you think you're going to have a peaceful Democratic National Convention in the city of Chicago while our people are starving, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
All right.
Oh, we're not going to stand out idly back. And we
stay tuned.
Any of those who are about closing borders, we don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever. As long as you're about closing these borders, we can support you.
As long as you're about closing these borders, we can support you. So maybe they'll just close the borders. Maybe they put all this together just for that. So what happens if the Democrats lose the slave grip on the black pop? Because that's what it's always been about. Projection. D's can't lose control over the black population. At some point, the Great Awakening will occur whereby these false local national black leaders are corrupt and paid off to help keep the black population poor and in need. Democrats formed the Confederate States against freeing slaves. The Democrats formed the KKK. What happens if the truth about Haiti is released? Do the Democrats lose majority of the vote? Through the looking glass. They rely on the mainstream media to keep the narrative going, but tech is entrenching on their controls. They missed this in 2016 and desperately attempting to censor now due to the cash infusions of the CIA. Remember, they went into Twitter, took over, and those Twitter files were released thanks to Elon. You guys starting to kind of put this puzzle together? It's pretty interesting, right? We know the results of the 2020 election. He wants to redo it. This is President Trump out of Iowa.
He only got indicted once. He got indicted. I got indicted 4 times because I'm questioning a crooked election. But we're not questioning it. We know the results. We know it. And when we go through courts, if we ever even have to do it, because you have presidential privilege, and also we should never have to do that. But if we do, we want to redo the election only from the standpoint, we want that election. We want to look at it very carefully. We have so much information. There was so much corruption in that election. You take a look. It's incredible.
So when he gets back in, not only will he right the wrongs, not only will he get rid of get the January 6 folks who have been arrested out, not only will he get our jobs back, have all of the crimes against humanity, those that committed those, gone, he's going to go back and revisit the 2020 election with all the evidence, with the right people in charge to expose it all. And then who knows, maybe after winning this next year, they'll say, well, since they stole the 2020, I guess you get that one back again too. Oh, it just gets gooder and gooder. So as this plays out, I thought I'd play this for you. President Trump re-truthed this one. This really well done song, very clear on what's playing out in front of all of us.
America is slowly dying of a self-inflicted wound from a weapon that we're supplying. The past seeds of hatred that race in our bloodstream. We can't agree to disagree on the most basic of things. What's a man? What's a woman? What's the shape of the earth? When does human life begin? At conception or during birth? Meanwhile, the projects is more violent and the Democratic Party stays silent. That's poverty pimping. That's when politics are poverty driven and they pander to poor communities to get moral impunity. Capitalism is a black man's hell, but Marxism comes from Europe as well. It's not African. So pick a side to collect from. We run away from one slave master into the arms of the next one. And every 2 to 4 years they pump fear, and we auction off our vote in exchange for some false hope. Listen, it's that blatant, enslave us through taxation, send money to Ukraine and you paying at the gas station. Cause this administration had plans for the inflation. Natural gas is the actual task. Check the pipeline. Now they want to fight crime. We tools in the plot. They wasn't talking gun reform back when Boo Boo got shot. Drug addiction was not a disease when Nunu had rocks. Now they change and readjust words cause meth is in the suburbs. In the 90s, Biden locked up our people for coke. Now he's using taxpayer dollars to buy. You don't see the contradiction, or you too busy double tap dancing to pay attention. This is legislative lynching, economic Jim Crow. They feed us violence and spirits to keep us spiritually po. Is this conspiracy? No, far beyond the music. That crime bill defines.
Yep. So that was Retruth. And interesting that President Trump would have that one go out. Did you guys know the White House got community noted? They put out that, this is Doge Designer, put out the White House, they dropped a little, X out there. This week we learned monthly inflation in October was 0 and the economy grew by more than 5% last quarter. Under Bidenomics, inflation is falling and the economy is growing from the middle out and bottom up. Oh, does that not show you who they belong to? Anyway, so then X, Twitter, puts a little post there. Readers added context. Post is referring to the PCE index percent change from the preceding month. Inflation is normally assessed annually, 12 months. However, the Fed's PCE goal is 2%. It is currently 3%. A more commonly referenced inflation index is CPI, which shows annual inflation of 3.2%. And Elon Musk replies to CB Doge, X is the best source of truth. How about that? Boy, oh boy, oh boy. And when it comes to money and more, as they're talking about, we talked about that on our interview with Dr. Kirk Elliott, December 3rd. If you missed it, go check it out. That was yesterday. Silver's up in 4 days, up 5% actually, and more. I mean, we had a lot to talk about. It was absolutely brilliant how he just does amazing work. And you can actually reach out to Dr. Kirk Elliott on the screen right in front of you, andweknow.com/gold. Just go to that, reach out to him, say hello.
Out will create habit change, right? Punishment stops it for a short period of time because you don't want to get in trouble, but your heart never changed. Your fear of being punished changed, right? So this is the only way I think that you can actually change this society is through intervention from Jesus, right? And speaking to our hearts. So I was listening this weekend, well, not this weekend, last weekend, to my old youth pastor, Chris Hodges. And so he's with Church of the Highlands, second largest church in America. I think they now have 50,000 people across dozens of campuses. I mean, it's pretty amazing what they've done, but he was my youth pastor growing up. And I learned a ton from him, and I still do. He's one of my spiritual mentors in life. Well, he was speaking on the kind of the rise and fall of countries and what happens. That was his sermon. And it was pretty fascinating. So let me share this quote with you, and that kind of amplifies our need for Jesus, right? So he said, and to add to that, I'm just catching this quote, midstream. And to add to that, the historical reality that all great empires, the Persians, the Trojans, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, and in the later years, the British, all rose and perished within 240 years. They were not conquered by external enemies. They rotted from within. See, all of these great empires, 240 years was the max duration. Right. Well, let's look at the United States. 1776 is when we became a nation. So 1876, 1976, that's 200 years. And then 86, 96, 06, 16. So we're at what? 248 years.
Right.
We've just passed that longest term envelope. We're on the verge, historically, of falling. Well, why do they fall? Why is that the longest term? Because people are people. Ultimately, you start, you rise, you grow to prosperity, you have religious freedom, you have political freedom, and then you start to get apathetic and fat and lazy, right? It's like pockets are thick, wallets are thick, we're making a lot of money, and you just start to lose your reason, right? That God creates everything for you. And you say, I created this. And you become apathetic, you stop voting, everything.
So it's a very good interview. We talked a lot more than just the finances, but it's interesting because he even has a doctorate in theology and goes through this with us. It's amazing. Folks, you can find more about everything we do, our interviews and more at amweknow.com. That's where I try to send you. It's very easy to remember. And there's a lot of resources that you have here. When you go to our website, I'm showing it to you here now. If you go to it, you can actually click on AWK Podcast or Listen. And when you click on AWK Podcast, it'll take you to our Podbean. And we just ask that you go there and subscribe to our Podbean, and it'll allow you to have pop-ups on your phone or on your computer when we upload new things for you. So the latest that I put as audio exclusive only was Saturday. Every week we're sending out a Bible study where every week I have like a new believers Bible study, and we had salvation and eternal security this week. Just touched on eternal security a little bit, but we'll hit on it more this coming Saturday. But just wanted to make sure that you know about that as it plays out. You can hear the intro music.
Chosen generation, a royal priesthood, an holy nation, a peculiar people.
You're a peculiar people. So I got that, and I thought, awkward. We're peculiar. We're awkward, right, or whatever. And so I just use AWK/word, just playing with all that there. So a step further, you can go and see on our website. You can go to thepatriotlight.com. Just go to thepatriotlight.com. It's got all types of resources for you for everything that we're trying to talk about and share with you: the news, the politics, the markets, faith, social news, resources, and more from things that I share all the time. You can go find those resources there. Also, Instagram at awk_828, and we're on awk updates on Facebook. We can't say and we know because they kick us off every time we do. And so also you can grab our gear. A lot of folks are wearing our gear now. It's absolutely amazing. We've got new shirt out. I will not comply. You can see there with the eagle and the flag. I actually worked with the team on this. They work really hard to make sure we have the right ones, and has amweknow.com on the collar and the back so folks know where to get and hear about us. You can get your sweatshirts and hoodies, accessories, hats, tees, and tanks, and more. It helps spread the word and allows people to meet you. And some folks will ask, how can I get to know more about Am We Know? Or, hey, I like that logo. What's that all about? And next thing you know, you've got a new friend and you're sharing a new podcast. And so it's pretty cool. So here's more great pictures of Patriots wearing our gear.
we gave on pediatric admissions weren't intended to make it seem that children were having, having an epidemic of infection. These were small numbers that we reported in our health alert. That was based on 50 hospitalizations, and I've now given you some larger numbers, but they're still small numbers. It really is to motivate pediatricians and families to seek the protection of vaccination.
Yep. So they basically readily admit to all of us that they just don't use 50, and then they gather it all and they put it out there. Just basically, wasn't really designed to, let you know the real truth. We just want to let you guys know how this plays out. But the real truth is folks are dying from this jab. Data from New Zealand Ministry of Health shows that the COVID vaccines have killed over 10 million worldwide. Now, folks, this isn't all I've got today. I'm going to share with you even more how they planned this out. The 2012 Olympics have got that ready to show you. We've got how they are now changing the obituaries. We've got some more communications going forward with Tucker Carlson, how it didn't go well with Robert De Niro, and he exposes himself involved in trafficking himself. So I've got some more to show you. So don't think that we're done yet. We're going to be covering this a little bit more. So data from the New Zealand Ministry of Health shows the COVID vaccines have killed over 10 million worldwide. Yeah. So does it make sense now? Fauci put $500 million of our money into that vaccine. He owns half the patent. He has 5 guys who are working for him who are entitled to collect royalties from that. So you have a corrupt system, and now they got a vaccine and it's too big to fail. Well, one of those guys that was calling him out was the inventor of the PCR test. Remember Dr. Kerry Mullis? We've talked about this before. He said anyone can test positive for practically anything with a PCR test. If you run it long enough with PCR, if you do it well, you can find almost anything in anybody. It doesn't tell you that you're sick. And then he said this about Fauci before they killed him.
What is it? What is it about humanity that wants to go to all the details and stuff and listen? You know, these guys like Fauci get up there and start talking. You know, he doesn't know anything really about anything, and I'd say that to his face. Nothing. The man thinks you can take a blood sample and stick it in an electron microscope, and if it's got a virus in there, you'll know it. He doesn't understand electron microscopy, and he doesn't understand medicine. He should not be in a position like he's in. Most of those guys up there on the top are just total administrative people, and they don't know anything about what's going on at the bottom. You know, those guys have got an agenda, which is not what we would like them to have, being that we pay for them to take care of our health in some way. They've got a personal kind of agenda. They make up their own rules as they go. They change them when they want to, and they smugly, like Tony Fauci, does not mind going on television in front of the people that pay his salary and lie directly into the camera.
Yeah, they lie. They lie right in front of the camera. And he was gone right before they introduced the virus so that everybody would live in fear that 99.7% people survive from, but they kept putting out that millions of people are dying or on this earth, and they kept putting the numbers in front of us and scaring us all. And you think they'll do it again? Oh, yeah. White lung syndrome. Symptoms include coughing, fever, fatigue, cabal depopulation agenda, approaching election year. We're not doing this again. You know what they did? They then got everybody in fear. And then they said, go get your vaccine. It's gonna save you. You're not going to get infected. Then they say, well, nobody said you wouldn't get COVID if you're vaccinated. Oh, no. Fauci said when people are vaccinated, they're not going to get infected. He said that. Old Biden said you're not going to get COVID if you have these vaxes. Rochelle Walensky, CDC director, vaccinated people do not carry the virus and don't get sick. Rachel Maddow, the liar. Now we know the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops. Bill Gates, the expert, the computer guy that came out of nowhere and all of a sudden is the expert. Everyone who takes the vaccines reducing their transmission, even though he did a nice little talk on a stage and said, we need to reduce the population. Well, we've got vaccines for that. Openly admitted to the public. Albert Bourla, Pfizer CEO, there is no variant that escapes the protection of our vaccines. Oh, yeah. So the elites, they tell us through their books and publications, their movies, news releases, what they're doing. It's called revelation of the method. Can't recognize it for what it is. Your problem is from their point of view. We had the 2012 Olympics play out. You remember they had the Grim Reaper from that and dancing nurses in the opening ceremony of the 2012 Olympics. Predictive programming for all of us. They wanted us to know by putting in front of the entire earth how this was all going to play out. They had that, and they had the nurses. You guys remember, makes a lot more sense. All of these things that I'm showing you on the screen are just remembering how they play this out in front of us. I mean, can you imagine what it takes to put stuff like this together for all of us to see? How they had to put that ceremony together so that you could see somebody up there with a vaccine, see all the children in their beds with the nurses and more. And so then you head to today. Social media influencer Samara Maloney died unexpectedly from a brain aneurysm on November 7th, 2023. There are many fake obituaries regarding her death, claiming a car accident. That's right. So if you look at this here, what caused Samara Maloney brain aneurysm? Explained. Yeah. In a heartbreaking turn, the vibrant TikTok community was jolted by the news of Samara passing from a brain aneurysm. Well, you over to Kyle Maloney, they say that underwent surgery. Unfortunately, she's now in a coma, the details of which his family are grappling with unearthing in its totality. Another one has here, as they show it on the screen, Samara was telling Buddy, if you need anything branding design wise and you've been jabbed fully or half, I'd be offering $50 off. Send me a picture of your immunization card. She was fully jabbed. And so as this plays out, they want you to know on a Vietnamese website that she was extinguished violently, tragically in a car accident. Website called Wealthy Peeps, Samara's life was tragically cut short due to a fatal car crash. Fake obituary number 3, website called Holly Bolly on November 7th, the nation of Trinidad and Tobago, deeply shaken by the news of the ultimate untimely demise of Samara Maloney from a tragic car crash. Yeah. Another one, November 28th, 2023, 22-year-old Reed Ryan, football player for University of Minnesota Duluth football program, had a cardiac arrest during practice on November 21st and died a week later on November 28th. He had 4 seasons, full scholarship, welcomed as a Bulldog. And the real obituary, much loved son, brother, uncle, teammate, and was welcomed by the angels into heaven on November 28th. He was born, blah, 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 following a football team, workout in the weight room. He had a cardiac arrest. Had a heart condition, large, loving heart. While he was still in the hospital alive, someone commissioned 2 fake obituaries for him, claiming he died in a car accident. They were released November 26th. He died November 28th. That's right. One day at a time, the stuff keeps getting revealed. And then you head to Walmart and you notice that they're pulling their ads from X because they can't handle the truth coming out anymore. As a matter of fact, Walmart announced they will be placing ad. They won't be doing this. And it's all happened because Elon Musk posted something about Pizzagate. Tells you everything you need to know. The holidays are around the corner. I know there aren't many brick and mortar stores anymore, but maybe we would try our best to not give the communists our money because, folks, if you're not familiar with Pizzagate, those that are new to this, there's a lot to be revealed, and this is why they're going to be dealt with real soon. Here's a clip that I had put in the description box below for you to watch. It's an hour and 34 minutes, so I'm just going to play a few.
Pizzagate.
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 A conspiracy theory. Debunked internet conspiracy theory.
A fictitious online conspiracy theory.
We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them. And when they are sold, they come without birth certificates, which...
Now, before I play some more of this and some other things that are about to show you in this video, just wanted to warn you for children, if you got them, maybe you don't want them to see some of this. Okay? In 3, 2, 1.
Means it's easier to kill them and have no one ask where they are. We're also importing children by the plane load.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Our government, there's 2 elements. There's the overt and the covert. I was a member of the overt group. The covert group are involved in assassinations, drugs, kidnapping children, so on and so forth.
The fake story was widely debunked.
They have no evidence for this. It's really crazy stuff.
Why is it that the topic of pedophilia is such a closed conversation? And clearly, one of the reasons is because you have pedophilia at such high levels of government, at the highest echelons of government.
People need to face this. This could be their little kid. This could be their neighbor's little kid. This could be a relative's little kid. As unpleasant as this is, Americans need to come out and not only face this, but they need to start fighting it.
So you enter the Pizzagate. There's a lot to this movie. There's a lot of information. It shares a lot of deep things that are difficult for us to imagine. It's one of the reasons with all my children, I never let them go out of the house without me. If they wanted to go outside or whatever, when they were young, I would ride my bike with them. I'd go to the park and sit far away from them and watch, just to let them have a good time if they were their friends. I was always on the alert. Never trusted anybody. Gave them a lot of training on to recognize areas where they're going to try to take our children, because they do it. And so we know that the Crimes Against Humanity was caught before the 2016 election. That whole thing came out with Seth Rich. We know that he was probably the one that gave the information to Julian Assange, who was then, because he released the email showing the Clintons and all their staff and so many people involved in trafficking of children, they put Julian Assange away. These evil ones that are at the very top that worship Satan. This continued as Tucker Carlson discussed it with Roseanne.
It's also about the hacking of the DNC.
That's what I think it
That's
is.
what I think
Because he named Seth. He said someone named Seth gave him the.
Yeah. So I asked him directly about that in prison. I asked him about Seth Rich.
He asked Julian Assange about Seth Rich.
And he said, I'm not going to, and I mean this too, he did not budge on, I'm not going to reveal my sources.
Well,
but
that's great for him.
So that means it was.
But it's pretty clear that those files were not hacked by Russia.
No.
There's no evidence they were hacked.
That was a leak.
Right. That they were downloaded from within the building.
Right.
I think Bill Binney, from NSA, former NSA officer, pretty much demonstrated that. And they lied about that. And we wound up at war with Russia as a result of that lie. So like, that's a pivotal moment. Well, I completely missed it, by the way. At the time, Sean Hannity was all over it. And I was like, I don't know what that's about. I'm not getting involved in that conspiracy stuff or whatever. And then a couple years later, I happened to know some of the people involved in that personally, just because I lived there. And I knew two people involved, and one who worked at DNC and another who worked on MPD, the Metropolitan Police Department. And both of them were like, dude, come on now. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought it was obvious.
I thought it was.
So I was so stupid because I lived there, it was like, if you're surrounded, it's like, if you've ever known someone with an alcoholic spouse and they get divorced, and all the friends are like, your wife was a really bad drunk. And he's like, I know she liked to drink, but she was an alcoholic. Really?
Yeah.
You're way too close to it.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't see it. And Trump's arrival and it wasn't Trump, it was the reaction to Trump really from my neighbors and everyone I knew in Washington. I was like, well, something's wrong here. You can't even answer simple questions about why we're doing certain things, why NATO exists or whatever.
Yeah.
That was the first tip off, but it took me several years to realize just how screwed up all this stuff was.
Yeah.
Because I knew everyone involved.
Isn't that something that takes years sometimes to figure it out? Folks try to tell you, you're in shock when you start learning about the truths that are playing out in front of you day after day. So all of this playing out for us to see. Derek Johnson even says, part one, all right, this better be the most shared post of November. There's already overwhelming evidence of military occupation and continuity of operations plan with military and federal laws and orders via current bipartisan legislation. Yeah, U.S. Army leaders say the next war will be fought in mega cities, but the service has embarked on an ambitious effort to prepare most of the combat brigades to fight not inside, but beneath them. You guys remember they were funded. They're spending $500 million to train soldiers to fight underground. Why? Because that's where the trafficking happens. They grab them, they go underground. That's why they have a hard time finding the children when they're gone. Washington Examiner, subterranean warfare equals tunnels. Now let's look at Israel in November 2023 news. Gaza's tunnels loom large for Israel's ground forces. Israel-Hamas war. Israel says video shows Hamas tunnel under besieged hospital. Israel displays tunnel shaft at Gaza hospital and says it will let in some people. The tunnels of Gaza. How subterranean maze below the Gaza strips works. Weird. Why do we need to know about Special K, also known as Kamala Harris, sending any troops to Israel? Yet 10 days after that, a United States C-17 Globemaster was. What a coincidence! A manual for a dot mil site from 2019 just to have a chapter titled "Egypt-Gaza Cross-Border Operations." Trafficking. All of this stuff playing out for us to see. Thank you, Scotty, for putting out these videos and reminding us about the Army spending this money, how they have the subterranean maze below the Gaza Strip from November 10th, 2023 articles. entrance into basements, money, and more. There are members of Congress who do bad things to children, says Les Crokin. Some are involved in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring, while others are blackmailed or compromised in other ways. There should be an investigation into any member of Congress blocking the request to subpoena Epstein's flight logs. Did you guys know Senator Dick Durbin just blocked Senator Marsha Blackburn's request to subpoena Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs? What's going on there? And then child grooming content on X reduced by 83% after Disney pulls ads. This is Babylon Bee, so it's probably make-believe numbers, but Elon Musk replied to it with a big laugh. So I told you earlier, just wanted to make sure I get to this. Well, since we're talking about trafficking, Robert De Niro, you guys know he had trouble with children and more. I believe it was in England. He goes to the Gotham Awards with Trump derangement syndrome. I'll play a little bit of this.
The beginning of my speech was,
I'll go to the middle.
There were great numbers of people who needed land, and the Indians were selfishly trying to keep it for themselves. Lying has become just another tool in the charlatan's arsenal.
He's talking about Trump, the charlatan.
The former president
Former president. Yep.
lied to us more than 30,000 times during his years in office. And he's keeping up the pace in his current campaign of retribution. But with all his lies, he can't hide his soul. He attacks the weak, destroys the gifts of nature, and shows disrespect, for example, by using Pocahontas as a slur.
Yep. So here he is. Celebrities are used for political means to build echo chambers. They're rewarded with relevance and movie deals. Age of tech has hurt their ability to hide and control. Majority today were born into the circle. Investigate those in front of the camera who scream the loudest. Those people are really stupid. End is near. The media cleanse, JFK. So I wonder if he's been to Epstein Island. Well, Donald J. Trump made sure that we knew how he felt about this. Robert De Niro, whose acting talents have greatly diminished with his reputation now shot, must even use a teleprompter for his foul and disgusting language. So disrespectful to our country, he has become unwatchable both in movies and with the fools that destroyed the Academy Awards, bringing them from one of the top shows in the country to a low-rated afterthought. De Niro should focus on his life, which is a mess, rather than the lives of others. He has become a total loser as the world watches, waits, and laughs. Yeah, you guys look him up. It's been a lot of trouble with children. A lot of disgusting things coming out on these guys. And so what they do is they attack those that they know they've committed the crime, and they don't want folks looking at them. So they are taught in a satanic fashion, attack those with the stuff that you do so nobody looks at you. Happens all the time. So again, I just told you about 2012. I didn't have it up earlier, so I forgot to play this. But again, this is the 2012 video showing you what they did at the Olympics for the vaccines to basically pre-program our minds. You'll be shocked when you see this.
Demons spreading like a virus.
Yeah.
Zombie-like hell.
Okay, we're actually not going to play that part of this, guys, because of the fact that that was one of the reasons why one of my videos last week disappeared, and I don't want to have this one disappear as well. So I'm going to fast forward past that.
Warned all along, just like they've already warned us about the next outbreak.
We'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is will get attention this time.
Basically, the so-called COVID-19 pandemic was a huge global behavioral experiment, the biggest ever performed in the history of mankind. It was a test to see if we, the people, were ready to be enslaved. The cabal used a variety of torture methods, as described in the Amnesty International report on torture. But hardly anybody even realized they were being tortured. What methods were used? All of them. All 8 methods to make the people submit, to break them.
Now, this is from Fall Cabal. Most of you know them. And I thought I saw something, so I went over to Telegram to check it out. But it looks like Falkerball official channel forwarded this. David Sarenson showed stopworldcontrol.com. Janet Osabard is missing and possibly committed suicide. And I just want to make sure that you guys know that that's on their Falk.
Okay, real quick. She did not. Okay, I'm gonna pull something up here. Give me a second to find it. All right. They were sharing what other people had shared in regards to her. And I want to show you guys the statement that was actually put out from the Falkerball channel. Okay, give me a second here to pull this over here. Give me a second here. Okay, and I'm going to read it. Wild rumors are starting to emerge on Facebook about Janet. People starting to make up their own version of the story, and other people get scared. Please don't believe everything you hear. I promise to report updates about Janet on this channel, and the situation is still the same. Janet is missing, and I haven't heard from her or about her yet. I don't draw any conclusions, and I ask that you do the same. Praying for her safe return is more powerful than creating panic. Okay. Janet Osbard is the lady who narrated and was the researcher for the series Fall of the Cabal. Okay. And we can we'll drop links into the chat for that, but she's the narrator and the researcher for this. Her and her partner worked together to put all this info together. Okay. So there was no narrative whatsoever in regards to her possibly committing suicide or anything else. Okay. I want to make that very clear. Okay. Somebody put that information out there without any express consent, and basically drummed up their own freaking narrative, which created a whole big panic across all of YouTube, across all of Facebook, and many other platforms as well. Okay. I should email that statement to LT so that he can see that as well, so that we're not promoting anything in regards to her. Okay. Other than prayers for her. Personally, it's kind of funny when somebody passes, you kind of get the feeling that they passed, kind of thing. I don't get that feeling at all in regards to her. And I definitely do not believe that she committed suicide. I understand that everything that she dug up and everything else is very hard to see and do, but this is a very collected woman. Okay. And, and I thank Auntie Wells for sending me that update that was posted there on their direct Telegram thing. But people are putting it out there that this is, the narrative, and that is not the narrative. She is missing. Personally, I believe that she got picked up for telling the truth. No different than Julian Assange got picked up for telling the truth. No different than the J6ers are sitting in cells in Washington, D.C. because they told the freaking truth. Okay. And everybody who gets shut down on YouTube and censored off of all the other platforms as well for telling the truth. Okay. So let's keep her in our prayers, keep her lifted up, pray that she has Christ's presence with her, supporting her and holding her up and bringing her home safely. And that's exactly where we're going to lay the narrative at Father's feet and let Father tell us and show us what he's capable of doing, because he's awesome. He's awesome. And that's what he's there for. And he tells us that over and over and over. Back to it.
Cabal official channel on Telegram. And after that, they were still posting things on the official channel. And I haven't received any updates from then. That was November 29th. So it's interesting to see more posts, but I haven't seen anything officially other than them reposting that article. Strange. So all of this playing out and more. I mean, we've got so much that we can cover, but I wanted to make sure that we come to a close with Grasshopper always connecting dots on many, many levels. President Trump posted on December 1st, 2023 at 1903. This, who won the debate last night from Cat Turd? Was it Newsom, DeSantis, or Trump? Because they had a little, little debate. It's pretty hilarious. It was 12 hours and 27 minutes left on that particular thing when he posted this from President Trump, right? He made sure that was the timestamp left. Trump had 81% on that one. Boom. We're honored, proud, and appreciative. He posted at 12 hours and 27 minutes left. 12:27 says we're honored. We're proud. 9:45, boom. That's when this bad boy had a ticker number on it. Well, also you see 1903, and that's where we have patriots have planned, installed, and by the grace of God activated the beam of light. We will forever remember your sacrifice. That's for JFK. And so we'll ring the bell of freedom, destroy those who wish to sacrifice our children, our way of life, and our world, we the people. There's a prayer said every day in our operations area. And then where we go one, we go all. So all of this playing out, matching day by day things that we are being exposed to. And just a reminder, thank God that we have a leader, President Trump, who still goes out and gives speeches and lets us know how this is playing out. Thank God that we have the resources we have to get the truth out to people so that we can wake up this entire earth. Thank God that people are waking up and saying, I've had enough. I've had enough. I don't want to see this anymore. We've got to start working together in our local communities and get these elections straightened out and put real leadership in. Thank God, I think they're being cleaned out. And we're tired. And I want to play this clip one more time before we close.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for how you continue to guide and direct our lives, take care of us, allow us to know the truth, allow us to be exposed to the things that have been destroying our country day in and day out. And would you just give us the strength, those that are listening, to have the ability, the knowledge of what to do in our local communities, how to get involved in our local school meetings and our local government meetings and our town hall meetings, and show us how we can get together with others to finally get our country back after losing so much. The morality level has hit lows according to the television screen, according to the things that our children listen to, the songs, the movies that they put in front of us, and more. We are really filled with the deep, sick immorality in our country, and you know it. So we ask that you would somehow, through some miracle, may we look at you and just praise your name as we see all of this evil being destroyed one day at a time. All the folks that purport this on us, may they be taken away. May those that have been committed crimes against children or trafficking around this world be grabbed. May we rejoice in knowing, finally, it's all being put away. We know that evil will always be with us until the return of your Son, Jesus Christ, we just look forward to that. But in the meantime, please give us the strength to make it one day at a time with you. Please protect us from the enemy, protect those on the front lines. We ask all this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen and amen. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for everything that you're doing with And We Know and sharing it and more. You're absolutely amazing. Please hit the subscribe button if you can and the like button if you haven't done so. We really appreciate that. For now, this is LT saying Semper Fi with them we know. Signing out.
Right on. Thanks for posting those links, Marianne. Thank you very much. And don't forget, you can also drop the link for the sequel to The False Call as well, which is another 32 episodes. This woman does some major research, and I'm telling you, what she lays out is it's showing everything.
Children in ritual sacrifice, in satanic ritual sacrifice, then you have to stand up and do something about it, because if you don't, your silence or lack of action, or for example, what you just did on The View, what you showed there, that is viewed as consent. So you've just now consented to it, so they're not committing a crime.
Yeah, LT, great podcast there. So before I sign off here, because today's gonna be a short one. We got X-22 won't be out for a couple more hours and stuff. There are a couple of interesting videos up here that I'm not going to play, but I thought I would point out. The guy who did the interview with Dave the other day, Maestro 1962. There's one here called The Shocking Truth About Chemtrails, a must watch. Very informative. Very, very informative. As a matter of fact, you know what I will do? I will take and pull this up to grab the link for everybody. And I would absolutely recommend watching this. Dave has talked about this. Todd has talked about this, or Tesla, or whatever you want to call him. He's Tesla Todd to me. And I'd love to get Todd to come on for a little bit and, maybe just give us an update as to how him and Cindy are doing and all that. But I don't know if he would do it. I sent him an invite a couple of weeks ago, and I hadn't heard from him. So, but I have a great respect for Todd and all the research and everything that he was doing with Dave. And I'd really love to get him to pop on for a little bit and, even just give a hi, maybe give a Christmas message or whatever, because I think he's a heck of an individual. So that is the link for this particular video in regards to the chemtrails. Okay. I just dropped that in the chat. If somebody could copy that and drop it over on the Facebook side, that would be awesome. And then the other one was this one here with Dr. Villette. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing her name right. Villette. She's usually on with Todd Callender and Sean from SDT. And I'm going to grab this one as well and drop this into the chat as well. Yeah, exactly, Starsky. You tell them. Yes, it would be great to hear from them. Absolutely. I want to know how their grandchild's doing, because I've been praying, and I'd like to know if my prayers were working or not. Yeah. So there's a few of them there. There's a couple of them that he did that are in Dutch. That I don't speak Dutch, so I don't know them. But that's there's quite a few there. And LT was the last one that came up for today. I don't play Don Jr. stuff only because of the fact that he's pretty much on every single platform and people can get to him without a problem. Whereas getting to some of these other podcasters can be a pain in the butt sometimes because they're so heavily censored and all that. So that's where I'm going to end it for today, folks. I want to thank you all for joining me. Like I said, it was a short podcast today, only three and a half hours, somewhere around there. But you got the important stuff that I felt kind of needed to be laid in front of you. And we'll see you again tomorrow. I will have a whole bunch of stuff put together for tomorrow. Probably we'll start off tomorrow with X22 from today, along with other stuff that's being released. We should be seeing quite a bit of that. It's no longer drip, drip, drip. We're getting to the part where it's going to start flooding, and it's going to be up to us to maintain control of our brains as all this comes out, processing, putting things down in dictation or in notebooks, things like that. Because when people come to us to ask the question, what the heck is really going on? And believe me, heck is not going to be the word that they're asking or using, I should say. They're going to be coming at it in a totally different, perspective. Really quick, I did want to touch on Elizabeth Christ Trump. Okay. That is Donald Trump's grandmother. And basically it is believed that there are, if I'm not mistaken, there are 3 lines that actually use the name Christ in them, that are basically believed to be direct descendants of the Christ bloodline. Now, other people say, it would be Mary's bloodline. Well, yes, it would be Mary's bloodline, but it would also be God's bloodline. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's there's a lot of controversial things said about it, and then there are a lot of pretty on the spot things that could be consigned, through that. Swano, Trump Bible, that's the Geneva Bible. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I still have, let me check it. I might still have that video here on the computer. Let me see. The one with Dr. Clarence Sexton, which I'm going to bring over, and I'll play this because, I believe that I'm not okay. So what I'm saying is not that Donald Trump should be looked at as Christ in any way, shape, or form. I don't believe that any man should be worshipped in any way, shape, or form. However, there are things that lead me to believe that he is inspired and protected by God, and this is one of the reasons why.
There was a great revival in the Hebrides in the early 1900s. Began to moved up to the pleading for it into the 40s. Maybe we could say it topped out in the early 50s. 2 old women, one was 84 years old and one was 82 years old. One was blind and one was humped over so badly with spinal stenosis, just arched over. But they had passion for revival. They wanted God to work. This is what happened. They couldn't even get out to the church to pray. They couldn't even get out to the church to worship. Their house became a place to meet. People came in. They got so passionate about revival coming to their isle, the Isle of Lewis. They got so passionate about it. They confronted the preacher and wanted to know if he was thoroughly right with God. And they prayed and prayed and prayed. And they'd seen the Lord, they said, with the church filled up and God blessing, a great overflow. And the fire of God struck that tiny little obscure place off the coast of Scotland. And when it happened, there was a young teenage boy that got saved in it. His name was Donald. And the preacher became so dependent upon Donald and so close to Donald, he would ask him to lead in public prayers and help him with the meetings, and he did. Oh, how God worked. People began to hear about it, and the revival fire spread. It spread. And God blessed in a great way. Those two old women, the people, kind of people don't want in their church anymore. And from that same island, there was a young girl who was a cousin to Donald Smith, who immigrated to America. Her name was Marianne Smith McLeod. She came to America in 1936. She met a man named Fred, and they were married. They fell in love. They were married. God bless in a great way. And those old women were her aunts. And they came out of that fiery revival, They really experienced revival. And they sent a Bible, a copy of the Word of God that had been used in a special way in that revival, to Marianne. She started having children. I think it was 1937, she had her first child. They named him after his father, Fred. Then she had her second child, named after herself, Marianne. Then she had her third child, Elizabeth. Then she had her fourth child. And she was so impacted by this teenage boy God had used in that revival of the Hebrides. She named him Donald. And she gave him that Bible, the Hebrides Revival Bible. He was born in 1946. He's now the 45th President of the United States. And that Revival Bible is in the Oval Office. I'm saying to you, I don't know how, why, I don't know how it all comes together. But I believe God is putting some things together to give us just a window. If he could find some open people who know what the window's for. Can this be the time the window's open? Providentially, God has prepared the moment, and we will become the people of prayer, pleading with God. This is a plea. Will thou not revive us again? Will you be a part of that? Will you?
You know, that was Dr. Clarence Sexton is his name, and I'm going to drop the link for this so that anybody who wants to share it on your platforms can do so. Feel free to do just that, because I think that God is in fact preparing us for a revival like we have never ever seen in the history of the world. Are you ready? Are you ready? I know I am. God loves you. Jesus loves you. I love you. We'll catch you again soon. Peace.